Hello and welcome to another Sports Corner Watch Along live. We are back once again with a Europa League Watch Along. Of course, you guys who've been on the channel before, you'll know that we've had some interesting Champions League Watch Alongs over the last couple of days. But of course, it's not just about the Champions League. It is all about the Europa League as well. It's finally back. The tournament that has had plenty of shocks and surprises returns. And our first main fixture to cover today is Celtic, who are taking on AC Milan in the first match day of the UEFA Europa League. For those of you that are new to stream, as always, do leave a like and a subscription. It is greatly appreciated whether you are watching live or on the replays. But how are you all doing? I hope you're all good and well. Welcome back to the channel. It's going to be an interesting game tonight. As I said, Celtic taking on AC Milan with kick-off in just about 12 minutes time. It's going to be very good indeed, and it's great to see a lot of you in the stream as always, so nice to see you all, of course. I've just seen the chat, Kamar Roof just scored from his own half. Unbelievable. I mean, that's fantastic to see. Of course, Rangers tonight on fire, and you'll be able to see on the bottom of your screen today that we do have a whole host of other fixtures going on at the same time as that match between Celtic and AC Milan. But before we go into the other games that you can see on the screen, of course, the main focus of tonight's watch-along is, of course, that big fixture between Celtic and AC Milan, which does indeed kick off in just under 10 minutes' time. So we will go through the lineups in a second. But it's nice to see you on the chat as always. It's great to be back. Of course, yesterday wasn't on that Champions League watch-along, but hopefully you guys have been able to join the Champions League, and hopefully you've been able to enjoy a few of these Europa League games as well, because, you know, over these last kind of couple of minutes, well, over the last kind of hour and a half, 2 hours, there have been some interesting games indeed. Of course, Kamaru just scoring from his own half for Rangers. Bonkers. But we're here for Celtic today, of course, and we're just going to have a look, of course, at those lineups for the game, which kicks off in under 10 minutes' time. And, of course, put your score predictions in the chat for this game, because I've got to say, as a neutral, I'm bloody excited for this match, because it's one of those games where, on paper, these are two teams that should be in these type of fixtures. Do you know what I mean? You know, Celtic have always been up there for some incredible games, and AC Milan, well, we know them. They are a European force of the past, and now they are back in European football on the, well, not the highest stage, of course the Champions League is the highest stage, but one of the highest stages in European football. So who's going to take the points tonight? Put your score predictions in the chat as always. I can see there's 23 of you in the stream, which is fantastic to see. But here are the lineups for today's game between Celtic and AC Milan. Starting off with the Celtic lineup, it's a 3-5-2, of course, Celtic, coming off the back of that 2-0 defeat to Rangers in the Old Firm derby. And they're sticking with a very similar kind of team. And I've just seen the Kamaru goal. That is absolutely unbelievable. Barkas starts in goal, the Greek goalkeeper that's signed in the summer. The back three of Welsh, Duffy and Ayer. That's the same back three that they had in the Old Firm derby a couple of days ago. Midfield five, you've got Frimpong on the right-hand side, Laxalt on the left, and then the midfield three of Encham, Brown and McGregor. And then up top, we have Albion Ajeti and Leigh Griffiths. It is a change, of course, up top from the two players that Celtic used in that Old Firm derby. El Yunusi's not in the lineup, and Klimala is on the bench today. So that is your Celtic lineup. Here is the AC Milan lineup. It's a 4-3-3 today for AC Milan, starting with Donnarumma in goal, the Italian goalkeeper. The back four of Hernandez, Kjaer, Romagnoli and Diego Dallo. That's his debut today, of course, for AC Milan. Midfield three of Frank Kessie, Sandro Tonali and Rade Krunic. And then up top, we've got Brahim Diaz, Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Samu Castillejo. So it's going to be interesting, of course, to see how those lineups do fit in today. And as I said, do put your score predictions in the chat as always. It would be fantastic to see what you guys think is going to happen in tonight's match, because, as I said before, you have to look at this of two teams of just incredible historic pedigree in some of the biggest competitions in European football. You know, AC Milan over the last couple of years haven't been in these competitions because they've been found foul of fair play. Of course, they've not been good enough in Serie A, and now they are getting back to their very, very best. And hopefully tonight we'll be able to see a little bit of magic from them. But you've also got to kind of put it in a shout for Celtic as well, because they've had fantastic cup runs in the past. Of course, struggled quite a bit, you could say, in the recent couple of years. Of course, specifically this year, struggled in their qualifying campaigns, were originally in the Champions League qualifying sections, then dropped down to the Europa League. But in their last 3 Europa League games, Celtic haven't scored, if you're not including qualifying in that section of things. So let's have a look at the chat, see what you guys have been saying in terms of your score predictions. If you haven't predicted your score, do put it in the chat. Be interested to see what you guys think. So looking at the chat right now, Aqua saying 10-0 to AC Milan with a small smile on his face. I'm guessing you're not a Celtic fan, we have to admit. Bernal saying, no surprise that AZ Alkmaar are ahead of Napoli. And then he did put, of course, AC Zlatan 2, Celtic 0. So thinking AC Milan's going to come out with a win tonight at Celtic Park. Aqua's put 3-0 AC Milan. Zlatan Ibrahimovic to get a hat-trick. And then Chris Welch has put 1-0 to AC Milan. So nobody so far going for Celtic. Of course, if you are a Celtic fan, do put in the chat what you think is going to happen today, because it certainly is a very, very interesting game indeed. You know, these are 2 great sides. And you've got to say, Celtic have to improve, because quite recently, of course, we know they played off in that Old Firm derby against Rangers, which they struggled big time. Really, really poor game of football. They didn't have a shot on target, and they have to come out here today and really prove a point, because they are in a very, very tough group. They've still got to play Sparta Prague. They still have to play Losk Lille. And if they don't come out with a result tonight, of course, it isn't the end of the world. We're only on match day 1. There's plenty of time to get back into things, but they have to go out there and prove a point if they want to come out of this group, because, of course, if they don't get out of this group, it's going to be another disappointing campaign for Celtic in terms of European football. And as for AC Milan, they've got to come out today and try and prove their kind of things as well in terms of football. They've got to prove that they've got a high stature and that they want to come out of this group on top, because technically they are the favourites to come out of this group in first place. And you could technically say, and I mean I'm putting technically, say that they are kind of favourites, well, not favourites to win it, but are higher up in terms of being a favourite to win the UEFA Europa League. So you've got to expect both teams tonight to come out and really give it their all. Now, as we said before, it's not just these games going on tonight between Celtic and AC Milan. There are a whole host of other fixtures going on at the same time. You'll be able to see on your screen right now some of the other games going on. I haven't been able to put every single game on the screen for you guys to keep up to date. But throughout the fixtures tonight, we will try and keep you up to date with the scorelines of as many of the Europa League games as possible, because I know usually we do a goal show in this type of situation, but for the Europa League, we're going to kind of keep it to 1 main game a week. We'll kind of update you with the scores as we go along and a couple other things like that. So you'll be able to see on your screen right now, AEK Athens, they're taking on Braga from the Portuguese League. Of course, kicking off at 8 p.m. Leicester City back in European football once again. Of course, they were in the Champions League not too long ago. They're now back in European football, and they're going to face Ukrainian side Zoya. Sparta Praha, they're facing off against Lille. Of course, 2 of the teams that are in this group alongside Celtic and AC Milan. Villarreal, one of the favourites to do quite well in this competition. They've got to face off against Turkish side Sivasspor. First time that they've been in this competition. Spurs, of course, debut for Gareth Bale. Well, not technically a debut, but first start for Gareth Bale since he's come back from Real Madrid. It's his first full start. Did come against West Ham. They are going to be coming up against Lask Linz. Hoffenheim, they're coming up against Red Star Belgrade. That's going to be an interesting game going on in Germany. And Zagreb are coming up against Feyenoord. But there are a couple of other games going on at the same time. So we'll keep you up to date with those. But the focus here, for now, is between Celtic and AC Milan. And what a fixture this is on paper. As I said, if you're on his stream, do leave a like and a subscription as always. Going to try and cover as many of the Europa League games going on. But here is a quick look before the game does kick off in just a couple of minutes' time at what is still to come on the channel. So as you can see, the next major live stream we do have is El Clasico on the 24th of October. It'll be live for that at 2:45 p.m. with kick-off at 3 p.m. UK time. We've then got the Champions League back once again next week, 27th of October for Groups A to D Match Day 2. And then a day after that, on the 28th of October, Groups E to H, of course, live from 7:45 with kick-offs of those games from 8 o'clock. We've then got Real Sociedad versus Napoli as the pick of the bunch next week. That is on the 29th of October from 7:45 p.m. So there are some interesting games to keep your eyes on over the next week because, well, we've got one incredible game coming up and a whole host of other exceptional Champions League and Europa League fixtures. But the players are coming out. We're about to get underway, and I've got to say, I am bloody excited for this fixture. You know, as a neutral, you want a great game of football, and I think on paper tonight, this is the biggest fixture in the Europa League in terms of the two sides that are facing off against each other. It's the Scottish powerhouse in Celtic and the Italian giants in AC Milan kick off in just a moment's time. But once again, for those of you that have just joined and you want to stream, do leave a like and a subscription as always. There's 81 of you in the stream right now. Hope you're all enjoying yourselves. Going to quickly go through the lineups once again to make sure that you guys can get a rough idea of who is playing. So Celtic today with a 3-5-2. Barkas in goal, back three of Welsh, Duffy and Ayer. Midfield five of Frimpong, Oliver Encham, Scott Brown, McGregor and Laxalt. And then up top tonight, it's a changed front two from that previous game in the Old Firm derby against Rangers. Albion Ayeti and Lee Griffiths are both starting tonight. And then the AC Milan lineup is a 4-3-3 for the Italian Giants. You've got Donnarumma in goal, of course, back four of Teo Hernandez, Simon Kjaer, Romagnoli, and a debut for Manchester United fullback Diego Dallo, of course, went on loan to AC Milan, could still be a permanent player by the end of the season. Midfield three, you've got Frank Kessie, Sandro Tonali and Rade Krunic, the Bosnian midfielder. And then up top tonight in a front three, the Spaniard Brahim Diaz, Ibrahimovic, of course, the main star of the show, you could say. And then another Spaniard on the wings, it's Samu Castillejo. So they are the two lineups. There's, of course, 5 substitutions that can be made throughout this game, but we are about to get underway with this fixture. And before we do kick off, of course, we'll have a quick look at the chat, see what you guys have been saying. Kyle, hope you're all good, buddy. Welcome to the stream. He says, gutted for Dundalk. Hope AC Milan win. Prediction 5-0. Zlatan scoring 4. I'm seeing a trend here with what you guys are saying. Are we going to see Zlatan score tonight? We'll have to find out in just a moment's time, of course. Aqua saying SPFL this season will come up to the old firms. Whoever wins them will win the league. Honestly, I do agree with you on that one. I think the Old Firm derbies pretty much are the cup finals of the league this season. And then Chris has put, no Van Dijk, no problem for Liverpool last night. As a Liverpool fan, I was impressed with our win. And of course, I wasn't there last night for the Champions League fixtures, but there were a couple of very interesting results across the board. Some really good results for Liverpool. Not the greatest game of football in the world, but they came out and got a very, very good victory indeed against Ajax. But we are here now. We are ready and raring to go as we get underway with Celtic and AC Milan, two powerhouses of European football, fighting off against each other. And to be honest, in my opinion, you could quite easily say that these are two sides that deserve to be in the Champions League. Of course, they're not, unfortunately. They are in the Europa League. I'm going to try and keep you as up to date as we possibly can with this fixture. But once again, for those of you that have just joined, who do you think is going to win? Put your score predictions in the chat. But Ibrahimovic and Samu Castillejo, the two players just on the touchline, waiting for the referee to blow his whistle. And the referee will get us underway in just a moment's time. And here we go, kick-off of this match. So once again, for those of you that are new, try not to spoil the scoreline in the chat. I am going to be a little bit behind compared to the rest of you because I am watching it courtesy on BT on my console. So it's a little bit more awkward to be able to cover the match without it being a little bit behind. So if you do see a goal, try not to spoil it. But if it does happen, then I guess it happens. But this is going to be a great game. Really, really good game. And I think Celtic, they've got to come out. They've got to prove themselves in the Europa League this season. Of course, they do have the aims of trying to get 10 in a row in the Scottish League, but at the same time, you want to go forward, and we might have a first chance here. A mistake at the back for Taylor Hernandez, which Laxalt makes the most of. He's going on down on the left-hand side of the field, but Sandro Tonali marks him well. Somehow the Uruguayan's been able to get the ball back, and of course, he is playing against his former side. Laxalt was an AC Milan player not too long ago. Now he's a Celtic player, so he's going to know a lot of the players on the pitch incredibly well in his time. He's going to loft a ball into the box, trying to get it towards the path of Leigh Griffiths, but Donnarumma is easily able to get out and pick the ball comfortably into his hands. And I think they are going to have to make the most of their chances tonight, Celtic, because you would expect AC Milan to not necessarily dominate possession-wise, but opportunity-wise, they have got the better team on paper. I think there'll be a few Celtic fans that will disagree with that one. Here's Taylor and Raphael on the left-hand side, just trying to work the first opportunity of the game for AC Milan here. Of course, it's very early on, and I'm going to try and keep you up to date with the scores across the board. So if we do get any early goals, then do keep your eyes out on the bottom of your screen, because I will be updating the live scores as we go along in the Europa League, of course. It'll be interesting to see who scores the first goal of the evening in terms of the 8 PM fixtures. But for those of you that missed the earlier fixtures, there was a loss for Napoli, lost to AZ Alkmaar 1-0. Benfica beating Lech Poznan 4-2. Rangers winning 2-0 against Standard Liège. 6-2 win for Bayer Leverkusen against Los Lille. What a game of football that must have been. But of course, we are here now for this fixture. And in this first couple of minutes, we've got a foul here on AC Milan. Taylor Hernandez going down. Referee is giving a free kick. And of course, Stefano Pioli there just telling a few of his players to try and push up the pitch, maybe get an early goal in this game, and we'll have to see what happens here. But Chris put in the chat, Angelino, RB Leipzig, Timo Werner replacement, you've got to love it. And I tell you what, it's a fantastic goal he scored. The second goal that he got was incredible, but AC Milan coming forward here, Sandro Tonali, just on the right-hand side, trying to feed the ball in towards Zlatan Ibrahimovic, just outside of the box. He can't get a touch. It's really good defending from Scott Brown, and eventually Celtic going to come away with it here. Frimpong with a bit of space. He's going to be forced back into his own half, and some really good, well-worked defending from the Italians, but the referee has given a free kick. Leigh Griffiths fouled there, but I think it was Diego Dallo actually that fouled him, so they have got the free kick. I'm coming to your question, Kyle. Did Celtic buy Laxalt, or is he on loan? As far as I'm aware, he's on loan, but they do have, I think it's an option to buy. I think it was around £7 to £9 million, so it'll be interesting to see whether they do trigger it or not, because you do have to say it's a lot of money for a team like Celtic to be spending on a player like Laxalt. But you never know. If he can make a good impression for Celtic tonight and over the next couple of months, we could see him potentially be a Celtic player permanently in the future. But of course, it's such early days. I think right now it's hard to tell what he's going to be able to bring to the club, especially when he's only had 1 or 2 fixtures. But Albionietti's in the box here. It's a throw-in from McGregor. He's going to loft the ball towards Leigh Griffiths, who tries to go for a kind of spectacular acrobatic kick there. Isn't able to, and it's Romagnoli, the captain tonight, who's able to just hoof the ball away from the Celtic attackers. Tonali's given the ball away, though, and it's Leigh Griffiths at the edge of the box. Now it's Oliver Encham going to lay the ball towards Frimpong, just on the attacking phase, where the box is on the far right-hand side. Going to lay it back into Ayer, who's able to move up the pitch, of course. It's a free-at-the-back formation tonight for Celtic. They're going to come forward here. Some really good work from the Scottish side at home so far. Ayeti's in the box, takes the shot on, calls for a handball. The referee plays on. He might have to check that back, but Encham takes on the shot anyway while the referee decides not to give a penalty. His shot is fairly weak, goes into the hands of Donnarumma. And we're going to have to see the replay back here, because there are calls for a handball on Romagnoli. And I tell you what, I think that's worth having a look back here. I mean, the replay, very slow. It's Ayeti who takes the shot on. Actually, then again, you kind of see it. He does hit his shoulder more than anything. I guess, of course, you kind of got to look back on the replays very slow, and it is indeed the correct decision there from the referee. And, of course, an early call there for Celtic for potentially to get an early penalty in this game. But, of course, nothing given, and the referee does play on indeed. But Chris has asked in the chat, who do you think will win the Europa League? I think it's a very good question indeed, because I guess you have to look at it and think right now it's probably not one of the teams in this competition right now. Of course, we do get the other teams that come down from the Champions League into the Europa League, and it tends to usually be one of those sides that comes down and does fairly well. And of course, we saw last year Sevilla doing incredibly well in the competition, winning it as they always do. And I know Benaldo's saying Spurs in the chat. You have to look at Spurs on paper and think they have to be one of the favourites to win it. I think you look at the likes of Leverkusen's and Spurs, their sides compared to some of the other teams in this competition are just far more inferior compared to some of the smaller teams in it. And I think they do have to go out there today and really prove a point in their first opening match day and say to the other clubs around them in the Europa League, we're not here to be messed about with. And Leverkusen did that perfectly today. Of course, 6-2 win against OGC Nice, which is a fantastic start for them. And I think teams like Spurs and that need to go out tonight and try and prove a point. And of course, I would say Spurs will be up there at the end of the season. But if we're looking at teams currently in the competition, not including Champions League sides that come down, I think Spurs have to be up there. AC Milan have to be up there. I think even Villarreal, to a certain kind of extent, should be up there and within a shout because they're a fantastic side on their day. Very underappreciated in terms of how well they play. And I think they have to look at this competition and think we can go for it. So I think Villarreal will be up there as well. But of course, you have to look at it and think until the Champions League sides come in a little bit later on into the competition, it's very hard to tell who's going to win it right now. But AC Milan coming forward here, it's Rade Krunic who gives the ball towards Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who's about 35 yards out. Some good 1-2 football between him and Brahim Diaz. The Spaniard's gone down calling for a free kick, but the referee says no, and Celtic are able to get the ball back here and maybe able to create a counter-attack, and it's some good 1-2 football between Frimpong and N'Cham, but even better defending from Romagnoli, who finds himself in a left-back position, and he's able to just clear the ball out for a Celtic throw-in. And I've got to say, in this first 10 minutes, it is Celtic that are the better of the two sides in terms of attacking opportunities. Of course, we've not really had an attacking threat yet from AC Milan, but we'll have to find out, of course, if they're able to get themselves going in the next couple of minutes. But we've had the first goal of the night. It is in the Russian game between CSKA Moscow and Wolfsburg. 5 minutes in, CSKA Moscow 1-0 up, of course. You'll be able to see on the bottom of your screen. Those will be running throughout the night in terms of the score updates. So do keep your eyes out because it will update as we go along through the 90 minutes. But as of right now, we've only had one game with a goal. And who knows, maybe we can get a goal in this one here. But the referee is going to give a free kick to AC Milan in their own half of play. But send in your questions throughout the night because, of course, it's always interesting to talk a little bit about football in general. If you've got any questions about the Champions League, the Europa League, or just football stuff in general, it's nice when there's a few talking points in the chat. And for those of you that are in the stream, there's 52 of you, which is a hell of a lot. Do put in your questions and your thoughts on the game because it's always nice to be able to hear from some new people watching on in the stream. And, of course, don't forget to follow and subscribe as always. It's very, very greatly appreciated if you are enjoying the watch along so far and you want some more sporting content on your YouTube feeds. Then we do plenty of football watch alongs on here, not just of the Europa League. We've got the Champions League ones as well. We've got El Clasico coming up at some point in the next week as well, so do keep your eyes out as always. But let's have a quick look at the chat right now, and before I do that, AC Milan coming forward here. It's Oliver N'Cham who's going to spread the ball into the path of Christopher Ayer. Now it's into Laxalt on the far left-hand side, about 40 yards out from goal here. Going to have to try and work something very well, Celtic, of course. As I said before, the pressure is on them tonight to go out there and get a good result, or at least kind of test this AC Milan side, but nothing is going to come here for Celtic, and eventually it will find its all the way back to AC Milan. But just look at the chat. Sasha in the stream says, "Go Celtic." Good to see you in the stream as always, buddy. Nice to see you. And Sean as well says, "Come on Celtic." And there'll be a lot of Celtic fans in here tonight, and they've got an opportunity to come forward here. Frimpong trying to feed a ball into the box. It doesn't find anyone. It's not necessarily the greatest cross in the world, but the clearance is eventually going to land back to Walsh. He lays the ball off to N'Cham. Now it's to Frimpong, back to N'Cham and back to Welsh again, and he's going to have to hoof the ball away. And of course, it's got to be a bright early start here from Celtic because this AC Milan side, it has talent. You don't know when a player like Ibrahimovic is just going to crop up and get a goal in this game. Of course, if you have kind of kept up to date with European football, you will know that he scored 2 goals at the weekend against Inter Milan in the Milan derby, and well, of course, he's done very, very well indeed. To say he's 39 years old, it's bloody scary with just his age. He shouldn't be scoring goals at the highest level at 39, but he is, and that's the man that he is. He's so good. There was a slight opportunity for Celtic to go through on goal, actually. Leigh Griffiths going through, but the referee putting up, sorry, not the referee, the fourth official pulling up his line, his flag, pulling him offside, and there was a free kick given to AC Milan, which they've used very quickly here, and it's Samu Castillejo, who finds himself on the far right-hand side of the field in the attacking half of play. Going to lay back the ball off to Kessie, who finds Taylor Hernandez, and now it's Ibrahimovic, who finds himself in the left-wing position, plays the ball short for Brahim Diaz, ball's lofted into the box, it's cleared away by Christopher Ayer, and he's just looking at some of his players right now, telling them to drop back a little bit because the pressure is on them. And we're going to have, I think, a throw-in for AC Milan in a very good position. Chris has put, let's have some Rangers fans in here with a winky face. Is that because you want some arguments to kick off? But the throw-in is taken short. It is Brahim Diaz that comes forward, tries to flick the ball into the box. It doesn't find anyone, but he's going to come to Tonali. Lays the ball off to Ibrahimovic. Now to Samu Castillejo on the far right-hand side. Gets the ball to Ibrahimovic, who tries to dink it towards the attacking right-back of Diego Dallo, but his ball is very, very poor there from Ibrahimovic, and eventually finds its way back to Celtic. And a little bit poor there. Bit of a rough start from AC Milan. Not really got much going in terms of attacking opportunities. Celtic looking a little bit more comfortable, but I think we do need a goal early on in this game. Brighten it up a little bit and get these two sides to really come out and attack, because they've got good attacks. You know, Celtic have got top players like Leigh Griffiths and Albion Ajeti, which, yes, if you compare it to AC Milan's attack, is nowhere near as good. But in the Scottish League, they do fairly well, and they have to score tonight because, as we said before, it's now 3 games in a row in the Europa League if you don't include the preliminary stages of the competition where Celtic haven't scored. So they have to get a goal tonight if they want to come out and get a convincing result. But you could even say technically a 0-0 result would be a good result for Celtic anyway, so we'll have to see. But 13 minutes on the clock, Celtic 0, AC Milan 0. Plenty of time left in this one. AC Milan coming forward here. And apologies, I will have a few drink breaks in between because, of course, he does get very thirsty when you're covering games. A ball lofted in by Castillejo. It's going to find its way into the box, and it's in the back of the net. First goal of the game goes to AC Milan. It's literally, as we just said, it was beautiful work from Samu Castillejo with a dink ball towards Rade Krunic, and the Bosnian gets his head onto the ball. It's a really good header from the Bosnian. It's just a slight touch on the ball. It's not necessarily a heavy header from the Bosnian, but it's enough power to just flick it over Barkas. He can't do anything about it, the Greek goalkeeper. And just like that, it's the away side who put themselves in the lead early on. It's AC Milan 1, Celtic 0, and it's not the start that Celtic wanted in their Europa League campaign, because they are 1-0 down and they're already up against it. And as we said before, they've not really had much attacking options and opportunities in these first 13 minutes, but AC Milan have taken the lead, and it's just a fantastic header from Rade Krunic, and it's his first goal, of course, in the Europa League this season. I believe it's actually his first goal of the season across all the competitions, and AC Milan have taken the lead here, 1-0. Celtic are already under the pressure after 15 minutes. What a start for the away side. And just looking at the goals across the board as well, we have had a goal in the Villarreal game. So 1-0 to Villarreal in that match. The goal scorer in that game is Kubo, the player who's on loan, of course, the Japanese winger, who's currently on loan from Real Madrid. So the goals are starting to fly in now, and it is 1-0 to Villarreal in that game. So nice to see there a couple of the goals going in. But as I said before, 1-0 to AC Milan. Really well worked goal. It was Samu Castillejo on the far right hand side, just dinks a ball into the box. It's a chipped kind of ball. Really, really good work. And then a fantastic header from Rade Krunic, which makes it 1-0 to AC Milan. And of course, Celtic now, they've got to come out here and get a goal because they are going to be under the cosh tonight. And they're going to try and do that very quickly here. Albion Ajeti on the ball on the far right hand side. He just can't get a touch on the ball though. And I think it's going to be an AC Milan throw-in. Ajeti a little bit disappointed there that he's just got I think it was a slight touch that's rolled the ball out of play. And just seeing Rangers' best team in the world right now saying about the game, of course, trying to see what happens in the chat. I know the Rangers and the Celtic fans usually get fairly feisty in these streams. But as I said, do put in the chat your thoughts and opinions throughout these games. It'd be interesting to see what happens. And apparently it's Nightbot that's timed him out. I do apologise. What I'm going to do very quickly, while this game is a little bit quiet, is just try and see if I can get into Nightbot here and turn it off, because it's getting very annoying right now when it's timing people out. So I do apologise if you are getting timed out. We don't mean it. It's Nightbot just automatically timing you out here, which is very frustrating indeed. Takes the piss. It does indeed, which is why it's getting turned off. Part of the channel. There we go. So Nightbot's not in the channel anymore, so you should be able to put your comments without it trying to, ban you. Very annoying when it does that. But, yeah, we've got that goal. AC Milan in the lead. Villarreal winning in their game so far. Of course, CSK and Moscow as well winning their game. And, of course, it's fantastic to see a nice early goal to kick us off in this match. But, yeah, Nightbot's gone now. That's out of the way. We can sit back and watch the rest of this game in peace, as Celtic get a free kick on the halfway line, which is going to be taken by Shane Duffy. Going to try and flick the ball long, but some good work there from Simon Castillejo, just keeping and marking him tight, makes it awkward for him, which means the ball's played short to Laxalt. He then plays the ball to McGregor, who's on the far left-hand side, wants to cross a ball into the box, but he can't, and eventually it's going to find its way slowly creeping towards the halfway line once again, which is exactly what he didn't want. And eventually Celtic will flick it towards the other side of the pitch. This is on the right-hand side with Frimpong. Really good tight defending so far from AC Milan. Closing down these Celtic players, making it hard for them to find spaces to whip the ball into the box and get it towards their two strikers in Albion Ajeti and Leigh Griffiths. But Laxalt's on the ball here on the left-hand side, doing very well against Diego Dallo. The referee's given advantage to Celtic, but that advantage is gone. And, of course, Celtic, they've just got to keep calm in this match. It might not be this first kind of 15-20 minutes where they get a goal back. It could take them, another half an hour or an hour of play to get an equaliser in this match. Or maybe they might not get an equaliser at all, but there's been very good defending from AC Milan here. Although it looks like, I think from what we're seeing here, that Celtic are actually going to get a free kick. Teo Hernandez just protesting with the referee there, a decision that I think he's given a free kick to Celtic from just outside of the box on the right-hand side. He has indeed. So Celtic have got a free kick here. Leigh Griffiths and Oliver Encham standing over this. It's on the right-hand side, outside of the box. This is an opportunity where they can try and chip this in, get it towards Shane Duffy, get it towards Christopher Ayer, make the most of the set piece, because, of course, we did see Rangers make the most of their set pieces in the Old Firm derby. The ball's whipped into the box by Leigh Griffiths. He's cleared away by an AC Milan defender. It was actually Ibrahimovic that got the clearance there, doing a bit of defending, which is always nice to see. And Celtic, they do have a corner, which they're going to have to make the most of. It was a really good ball, actually, from Leigh Griffiths. A curling ball into the box that Ibrahimovic was just able to get his head onto. And he's going to be Leigh Griffiths that takes this corner here, which is from the left corner flag. So can they make the most of it? We'll have to find out here in a moment. But Rangers, the best team, saying, why did God invent alcohol? So Celtic Glasgow fans can get laid too. Interesting to see that going on in the chat. Bit of an argument there between Celtic and Rangers fans. It always happens with streams. But the corners were lofted in by Leigh Griffiths. It's a really poor corner, cleared away. And eventually it's going to find the ball going all the way back to Barkas in goal. So a set-piece opportunity, not really well worked there by Leigh Griffiths. And it's an awful ball from Barkas. Just tries to hoof it long, and it's going to find its way to Sandro Tonali. He was able to head it down, gets it towards Brahim Diaz, but nothing coming out. And just seeing Stefano Pioli now getting a little bit annoyed. Some of the tackles going in, he's calling for a couple of yellow cards to come out, but of course, we're only 20 minutes in, got to keep it calm and tightly contested. And the referee, I think, just kind of holding off from bringing any cards out. But we have had another goal in one of the games, and it is Spurs, of course. Spurs tonight, first game for Gareth Bale in terms of starting a match. He did, of course, come on in that game between West Ham a couple of days ago. But we have the first goal in that game. Tottenham 1-0 up, and that goal has gone to Lucas Moura. In fact, just seeing in the chat right now, Bonaldo saying, Brazilian connection in the Spurs match, long ball from Davies to Vinicius, who squares it off for an easy Lucas Moura's goal, which is very good to see indeed, of course. But Spurs 1-0 up, which is always nice to see indeed. Beats for Yeshua says, why are you on YouTube commentating a football match? Because people like it. People like seeing reactions and seeing live reactions to games, and there's quite a few people in here right now, and I guess there's a lot of people as well who probably can't get access to these games that, like to sit in here and kind of get a reaction to the games, of course, because I do think we get fairly passionate reactions on this, and of course it's always nice for the other people to kind of be able to watch the games as well if they haven't, well, not watch the games, but listen and know what's going on without having access to these matches. But there's a mistake here at the back. AC Milan coming forward. It's a really poor mistake, and they're coming forward, and now Ibrahimovic, just inside of the box, could lay the ball off towards Samuel Castillejo, tries to flick it towards the Spaniard, but it's really good defending from Frimpong. It comes all the way back to stop the Swedish forward from chipping the ball into Castillejo, who I have to say, if that ball gets to him, you're probably going to say it's 2-0 to AC Milan, but really good defending from Frimpong. Does very, very well indeed, and very nervy, I have to say right now. Very, very nervy for Celtic, because AC Milan, they're not having a great deal of opportunities in terms of going forward, but they are making the most of their chances, and that's the worrying thing here. You know, Celtic, they've had a couple of decent chances in their game, but so far, nothing really showing. And you can kind of tell, of course, with these two back lines, the AC Milan back line is just so much better quality-wise in comparison to the Celtic back line. Of course, it's a little bit weaker, but we've got a few more goals going in elsewhere. Villarreal are now 2-0 to the good against the Turkish debutants Sivasspor. Of course, I'll find out who scored the goal in a moment. And Dinamo Zagreb still 0-0 as it currently stands. But as I said before, Villarreal 2-0 to the good in their game, and the goal scorer for their second goal is Carlos Bacca. Of course, you remember that name from the kind of yesteryear of the Europa League. He's got himself a goal, so 2-0 to Villarreal. They are flying in the first 20 minutes, which is always nice to see indeed. But fantastic there for Villarreal, 2-0 to the good, which is always nice to see. But 22 minutes on the clock here. AC Milan 1, Celtic 0, and Celtic already 1-0 down, courtesy of a goal which came not too long ago, actually, from Rane Krunic. Really good header into the back of the net. It was a flicked ball from Castillejo inside of the box towards Krunic. He was able to just get a slight touch on the ball and put it past Barkas in the goal. But Celtic with a throw in a decent position, just outside the box on the right-hand side. It's Frimpong on the ball, trying to get round Teo Hernandez, who does very well to get a touch on the ball and get it for another Celtic throw-in. And as I said before, really well contested at the back for AC Milan right now. Very calm, very relaxed. It doesn't seem like AC Milan have had much struggles defending at the back so far against Celtic. And we haven't really seen much of a Yeti and Griffiths yet. Apart from the free kick which was taken a moment ago by Lee Griffiths, nothing's really happened for Celtic. And of course there'll be a few disgruntled Celtic fans, you could say, to a certain extent, but they're not doing too bad so far. As long as you keep AC Milan in the game, don't go 2 or 3 goals down, then you never know what can happen. But a big thank you to everyone, by the way, that has been subscribing. Very, very greatly appreciated. And for those of you that have enjoyed the watch along so far, and as I said, for those of you that can't access the games, it's always greatly appreciated when you do leave a subscription. We are edging closer towards 1,300 subscribers. So it'd be very greatly appreciated if you do leave a subscription. As always, we do have plenty of watch along still to come, including El Clasico, which is in just 2 days' time. We're live at 2:45 on Saturday. Kick-off at 3 p.m. for Barcelona versus Real Madrid. That is going to be one hell of a match to cover. And of course, it should have goals in that match. But just in the chat, Tommy, good to see you with the stream. Hope you're all good, buddy. Says, come on, the Celts, of course. Still 1-0 down right now, but plenty of time left in this fixture to be able to get a goal back in this match. But just trying to check as well, make sure we haven't had any other goals across the board tonight. We haven't indeed as of yet. So, of course, we'll have to see what goes on across the other games across Europe, because as it currently stands, Villarreal 2-0 to the good in their fixture. We have had a red card, by the way. Sparta Prague are down to 10 men against Losk Lille. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, of course. They've got 70 minutes to play with 10 men. Probably going to be very hard against a team like Losk Lille, but we'll have to see what happens there with 70 minutes of action left to go. That could get very feisty indeed. But 25 minutes on the clock. AC Milan 1, Celtic 0. Plenty of time left as Celtic come forward. It's Albion Yeti on the left-hand side up against Simon Kjaer, who does very well indeed. But the referee decides against Kjaer and is given a free kick to Celtic just past the halfway line in the attacking phase of play for the home side. The ball's going to be laid back though to Christopher Ayer. Shane Duffy doing very well there indeed to try and just lay the ball out, spray it across the pitch, try and find that open space for the home side. But the ball's given away here. I think it's McGregor who's giving it away. Now AC Milan can counter-attack. It's Frank Kessie, just about 30 yards out of the box. Slight foul, which he calls for a free kick. The referee says no, gets the ball back. Frank Kessie does very well indeed there, actually, to get it back and lays it towards Samuel Castillejo, who lays the ball to Ibrahimovic. Foul from McGregor, and there's a free kick here for AC Milan, about 25 yards out, I'd say maybe 30 yards on the far right-hand side. He's not in a position to hit this at goal, but it's in a very good position to hit this into the box, because there is one certain man who you'd expect to try and get his head on this, and that would be Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So we'll find out what happens here, but thank you so far for everybody joining the stream. It's very, very greatly appreciated for all of you that have joined. But we're going to have the free kick here for AC Milan, which Samu Castillejo is standing over. He's already got one assist to his name. Can he get himself a second assist? The Spaniard whips the ball into the box. Simon Kjaer gets a slight touch. And I have to say there that Lee Griffiths, of all people, does incredibly well to make sure that AC Milan doesn't get a corner. Just clears the ball out of play. And it's going to be an AC Milan throw-in instead of a corner. Just really, really well there. But it's still in a very decent position. It's going to be taken short, though, this throw-in. In fact, no, it's not. It's going to be taken long towards Ibrahimovic. It's like pushing the box, but it doesn't get towards Ibrahimovic. But it has got here towards Brahim Diaz. Ball's lofted towards Ibrahimovic. It's going to come down to Sandro Tonali, who was just outside of the box. Was going to take the shot on originally, but tries to pass it towards the Swedish forward. It's cleared away by, I think it's Shane Duffy. And it goes out of play for an AC Milan throw-in. And, you know, once again here, it's the very small chances that AC Milan have had so far. You know, they've not really dominated this game in terms of opportunities, but they have had their fair share of chances. And I have to say, it looks very nervy at the back for Celtic so far. You do kind of feel like AC Milan are going to get another goal in this game at some point. But we have had another goal elsewhere. In fact, the goals are starting to fly in now. 2 goals for 2 Premier League sides. Spurs are now 2-0 to the good in their fixture against Las Linz. And Leicester City are 1-0 up in their game against Zoya. Leicester City, James Maddison with a goal in that game. 29 minutes on the clock there, so 1-0 to the good for Leicester City. And then Tottenham, 2-0 to the good. An own goal from Andres Andrade. So a very good start indeed for Spurs. Not even half an hour in, and they are 2-0 to the good, with plenty of time left in that match to maybe score a couple more. So we'll have to see what happens there. But Spurs fans will be very delighted with how the game has gone so far. Of course, 2 nice early goals indeed. But back to this game. Currently, Celtic in their own half. Really poor ball given away here by Albionieti, which has come towards Ibrahimovic. Lays the ball off into Samu Castillejo on the far right-hand side of the box. Tries to get the ball into Ibrahimovic. Calls for a handball there from Castillejo, but the referee waves those calls away. And now we could see a Celtic counter-attack. It's Callum McGregor. Tries to lay the ball into Walsh, who's moved further up the pitch, and it's been given away once again here by Celtic. It's Ibrahimovic. Lays the ball over to Brahim Diaz. What can the Spaniard do here? Done very well to get the ball to Krunic. Now to Castillejo, who's just at the edge of the box. Wants to cut in onto his strong left foot and guide the ball towards Ibrahimovic, but it's good defending from Laxalt. Now he's got the ball towards Ibra. He's done very well to keep the ball in play, but nothing's going to come of it. And it's Christopher Ayer who's able to just comfortably clear the ball away. And it was a long ball from Samu Castillejo, who found Ibrahimovic in space. It's a bit of an awkward ball for Ibra to get to because he can't get his head on for it for a shot. He kind of tries to head it down to hope that anyone can get a touch on the ball, but unfortunately for him it doesn't work, and eventually it's cleared away by the Celtic back line, who are coming forward here. It's with Frimpong on the right wing. Just slow build-up play right now from the home side. Still very well in terms of it half an hour in and to only be 1-0 down. Rangers are the best team in the world. It says winning ain't for everyone, which probably is going to go down a treat with the Celtic fans right now. But of course, incredible win for Rangers tonight. An incredible goal for Kamaru, of all people. Mental goal. And of course, scored it from the halfway line, which is absolutely crazy, and I don't think we're probably going to see a better goal today in the Europa League, unless somebody like Ibrahimovic, maybe comes up with a bicycle kick from outside the box. Doubtful, but you never know with a player like Ibrahimovic. But just a little bit of calm play now for AC Milan. Just taking their time. Is Sandro Tonali in the attacking half of play. Going to lay the ball into Rade Krunic, but it's some good defending from Oliver Encham. And the ball is eventually hoofed clear by Welsh, not Walsh. And it's not the greatest clearance in the world, but it's very lethargic, I have to say, from Celtic right now. We've not really had a chance for a couple of minutes now for the home side. It's that free kick we talked about a couple of minutes ago, which was the in-swinging ball by Lee Griffiths that was quite a good cross into the box, but Zlatan Ibrahimovic was able to clear the ball away. And I have to say, if there's any Celtic fans in the chat right now, I would actually be quite interested to hear your guys' opinions of Neil Lennon, because, of course, you are on course for 10 in a row in Scotland, which is an absolutely incredible feat. No matter whether it's in Scotland or it's in France or it's in Italy, to get 10 titles in a row is, well, to be working towards 10, you haven't got 10 yet, but to get 9 is an incredible achievement within itself. But is Neil Lennon the right man to lead Celtic on? Because I kind of look at Neil Lennon and think he's not. There's probably a better manager out there that could lead Celtic onto more glory in Scotland. But do you know what I mean? It's one of those. Maybe there's a couple of fans out there that think, do you know what, Neil Lennon he's a good manager, and we kind of back him. And I think there'll be a few other people out there that will kind of think, nah, we're not a massive fan of him, and we'd rather have somebody else in charge. But do tell us in the chat what you think about Neil Lennon, because I think he's an interesting talking point, to be honest. He's an average manager at best, I think. But some defending to do at the back here by Shane Duffy. He's going to have to clear his lines. Scott Brown, he's going to have to clear his lines here, because Castillejo is very, very tightly marking him right now. And it was actually Walsh that played the ball into Scott Brown. It's a poor decision by the youngster. He puts Brown under a severe amount of pressure with Castillejo just beside him. And he's very lucky there that he hasn't had an opportunity for AC Milan to go through on goal. But a bit nervy there. Poor from Welsh. I don't know what he's doing there. He could just hoof the ball up the pitch or play it a little bit further down, but he goes towards the captain and puts Scott Brown under immense pressure, which he does very well in that situation. Well, I've just seen in the chat, Kyle Ranter said, I'm watching this 1 minute ahead of you, so when a goal goes in, I'm celebrating, then 1 minute later, you celebrating. I think, why is he celebrating? Then I go, oh yeah, that's why. And yeah, he's one of those where, unfortunately, because I'm watching it on the BT Sport app, it's a little bit further behind. Usually it's kind of a minute or two behind, which is why some of the goals are going to go in a little bit earlier. A little bit later on my screen than yours, because I'm probably a minute behind. So, I will be a little bit behind with my celebrations. But, of course, that's why I have the timer in the top corner. So for any of you that want to sync up, you can sync up to the time, which is just above my head right now. And you can kind of get a rough idea of what I'm currently seeing on my screen. So that's why I have the timer up in the top corner of the screen, so you guys know what I'm currently seeing on my screen in terms of the time. But we have had a goal elsewhere. What a game of football this is in terms of the first half. Villarreal 2, Sivasspor 1, and in the first 20 minutes, it was Villarreal dominating the game. Kubo with the first goal in the 13th minute. Then 7 minutes later, it's Carlos Bacca with the second. They have got back in the game, Sivasspor, 2-1. Oluwenwaju Kayode, not necessarily a recognisable name to many. Former Manchester City man, former Shakhtar player, Nigerian forward, has got the goal in this game, and it is 2-1. A very interesting game half an hour in, but we've got a free kick here for AC Milan, and it's a very poor tackle on Rade Krunic. I think it was from Christopher Ayer there, and the referee gives the free kick. It is about 25 yards out from goal, and Castillejo, Teo Hernandez and Ibrahimovic are all standing over this free kick. And you would expect in this situation for this to be a decent opportunity and at least a chance on target for the away side. I would expect Ibrahimovic to take this, but we'll find out in a second. And Kaz put, I'm watching it in Ireland on a channel called Virgin Media 2. It's free to air, so I can't pause it, unfortunately, which is a shame. But, I mean, I'm not too far behind anyway. But we've got the free kick here. As I said, Teo Hernandez, Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Samu Castillejo all standing over this. Question is who he's going to take it. You'd expect Ibrahimovic to be the man who does, and we'll have to find out in a second. The referee just talking to the wall here. In fact, talking to some of the AC Milan players, saying how close they are to some of the players in the wall. But we'll see what happens here. Can AC Milan make the most of this? It's really poor. It hits the wall and rebounds straight to Samu Castillejo. He's going to try and get the ball to Romagnoli. Back to Castillejo again. Now into Ibrahimovic, who finds himself on the right wing. What can the Swedish forward do? Tries to dance his way around McGregor and does very well indeed. Finds Frank Kessie just outside of the box. With the ball's laid back to Samu Castillejo, the Spaniard, doing very well. A bit of trickery from the Spaniard there, but Barkas is able to claim the ball, and it's another chance that goes wide for AC Milan. And Barkas has opted to hit the ball long here, trying to get the home side on a counter-attack, but there's no one up top, which is a real shame, because in that situation, you kind of want to have the two strikers, Lee Griffiths and Ayeti, there to counter-attack and maybe make the most of these opportunities where AC Milan have got numbers forward, and they haven't really made the most of it here, which is a real shame indeed. But they're coming forward now, and this could be a very good opportunity indeed. It's Laxalt on the left-hand side of the pitch. The former AC Milan player lays the ball off to Scott Brown about 35 yards out, who tries to ping the ball back to Laxalt, but it's an awful ball from the captain tonight. And, of course, not really much going on here for Celtic. And we might have an AC Milan counter-attack, because there's a ball lofted here to Brahim Diaz, who takes a touchdown. Tonali's just making a run into the box, but it's a really good touch there from Christopher Ayer, and I think it's going to be an AC Milan corner. And I have to say, the space opened up very, very quickly for AC Milan to come forward. It was just lovely 1-2 football between Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Rade Krunic and Brahim Diaz. And the space that opened up there for Diaz to run into was an absolute gift for the Spanish forward, but it wasn't able to make really much of it. And in fact, it is going to be a goal kick that's given to Celtic here. So not lucky, but a little bit, well, you could say slightly lucky actually, that it's been given as a goal kick there. Because I thought there was a slight deflection on the ball, but Encham trying to home feet long towards Lee Griffiths. Nothing really comes of it, and it is going to be cleared away. And apologies for those of you that have come into the stream and thought that it was going to be the live stream of the actual game. I know there's a couple of people disliking. Do tell us in the chat, of course, what can be improved, as always. It's always nice to hear what can be improved on the channel. But I know there'll be a few people in the stream who will probably be looking and thinking that this is actually going to be the live game itself. And unfortunately, of course, we can't show the game because of copyright infringements and things like that. But if you have enjoyed the stream, for those of you that can't access it, and you've enjoyed it so far, then do leave a like and a subscription, because it is always very, very greatly appreciated indeed. And it's fantastic to see so many of you in the stream tonight. It's always nice to see new faces, as always. But let's have a look at a couple of your comments right now. Obviously, what you guys have been saying. Rangers best team in the world, saying Celtic are going down, down, down in this game. Benal saying, come on Zlatan, put it in the net 3 times for the good people. Bring some life into the match. And Sasha's put, who is Zlatan? Of course, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, which AC Milan are coming forward right now, actually. It's on the left-hand side of the pitch, and it's Ibrahimovic. Tries to flick a ball into the box towards Castillejo, and what a ball that was from Ibrahimovic. How Castillejo hasn't been able to get at least a touch on the ball, I do not know. And it was lovely work from the Swedish forward. Finds himself with just plenty of time to work the ball towards the Spanish right winger. And yeah, it's a little bit disappointing there that Castillejo's not been able to get his head onto it there, because had he have got his head onto it, I think it could have been 2-0 once again. But another mistake at the back here for Celtic means that Castillejo, who's been very lively in this first 40 minutes, is able to come forward once again. And then he slips on his arse. That's what you want to see in a fixture like this. Play slipping over. Unbelievable. That might be one for, not for the highlights reel there for Samu Castillejo, but he gets back up onto his feet and eventually the throw-in is taken. But we've got 4 minutes left here. Currently 1-0 to AC Milan in this game. Just looking across the board in the other fixtures tonight, of course, we have had not really many goals going on across the board. You'll be able to see on your screen, of course, those live scores going. Sparta Prague are down to 10 men against Lille, but that game is still, as it currently stands, 0-0. Villarreal 2-1 up against Sivasspor. That's probably the game of the night so far in terms of goals. Tottenham 2-0 up against Las Linz, which is fantastic for them. 2 goals in 9 minutes. And then there's also been a couple of other goals elsewhere, including Leicester currently 1-0 up against Zoya, the Ukrainian team. James Maddison with the goal in that game. So doing quite well indeed. And AC Milan are coming forward. It's Taylor Hernandez who finds space to work the ball into the path of... Oh, it's lovely. Oh, it's lovely. It's 2-0. He works the ball towards Brahim Diaz and he finds himself in acres of space. And it's 2-0 AC Milan. And it's really, really good work there. I just wanted to make sure it was Brahim Diaz who'd come forward. And once again, Celtic, they're masters of their own downfall here. And it's lovely work from Ibrahimovic. Plays the ball in towards Taylor Hernandez, who's able to just get a driving run forward. And it's really good work. Gets it towards Brahim Diaz, who... Oh, it's just a lovely bit of skill from the Spaniard. And when the ball's actually originally played, it's just outside of the box. And it's lovely, lovely footwork from Brahim Diaz. He somehow confuses both Welsh and Duffy and puts it into the back of the net. It's AC Milan 2, Celtic 0. And it's Brahim Diaz with the goal. And now things are looking a lot more awkward for Celtic if they want to get back into this game. And you can see Stefano Pioli, if you're watching the game at the same time, he's absolutely delighted with how his side are playing this game because they've played it pitch perfect tonight. And they're 2-0 to the good, 40 minutes onto the clock. And you've got to say, I think Celtic fans will be quite pissed off with this performance, to be honest, so far. Which we'll talk about it, of course, when we do get half-time. And we'll run through the game a little bit more and kind of talk through everything that's been going on. But it has been very, very poor indeed for Celtic tonight. They've been shit, to put it nicely. And I think there'll be a few Celtic fans out there which will absolutely agree with how they've played. In fact, you look at the stats of the game, they've had 4 shots, 1 on target, with 39% of possession in the game so far, which is a little bit worrying when you're playing at home. You'd expect to have a little bit more possession either way, but yeah, it's been very poor indeed. It might be 3-0 here because there's a ball that's been lofted long once again to Brahim Diaz, who just can't take a touch, and he's so close to making it 3-0. And it's a long ball from, I think it's actually Castillejo once again, who just notices that Brahim Diaz has made a run, and he's so unlucky that one slight touch on the ball, and it could have been 3-0 to AC Milan at half-time. Really good work there from Samu Castillejo. So unlucky that it's not 3-0. And what a game of football this is for AC Milan right now, because they're dominating this game. Absolutely dominating. And Celtic just can't seem to break them down right now. They're struggling to even get chances. And when they're giving the ball away, AC Milan are counter-attacking in style. And talking about teams that have counter-attacked, what a game of football between Villarreal and Sivasspor. It's 2-2. 2 goals in 10 minutes for Sivasspor. First goal came 10 minutes ago from Oluwenwaju Coyote. Second goal has just come in a moment ago. Hakan Arslan has made it 2-2. And Sivasspor, who were 2-0 down not too long ago, are now well and truly back in their game in the Europa League. What a fantastic match that has been to start off the Europa League in match day 1. But a crazy game of football indeed. But now they're saying Mr. Rangers, he's having a very good time right now, of course, with them being 2-0 down. And Kyle has said, do you think a team from the Prem should have gone in for Donnarumma? He's a great goal in my opinion. I'm surprised that, to be fair, a Premier League team didn't. I thought Chelsea were going to be one of the sides that actually went in for him because, you know, he's a great player on his day. He's still so young and a very good player. And it is actually now half-time of this fixture. AC Milan 2, Celtic 0. And if you are a Celtic fan right now, look away, because this has been a very poor performance indeed so far. I think Celtic fans will agree it has been slow, it's been lethargic, and it has been very poor indeed. AC Milan have dominated for large spells of this game, and they've got the 2 goals, of course. Rade Krunic with the first goal, it was a really good header into the back of the net that just completely beat Barkas. There was no chance he was going to be able to save the ball. And then the second goal came from Brahim Diaz. It's a lovely bit of trickery from the Spaniard. Beats Welsh, beats Shane Duffy, and just like that, puts his side 2-0 up. And pretty much now you're thinking, unless a miracle happens in this game, Celtic are going to drop points for the first time in the Europa League this season. And it's been very, very poor indeed for them today. And well, I don't really know, to be honest, what they can do to get back into the game, because they look so poor. And it comes back to, we did the watch-along. If you're kind of a regular viewer of the stream, you'll know that we did a watch-along not too long ago for the Old Firm derby, which, you know, I watched that game and I looked back and I said, to be honest, Celtic looked awful in the match. They looked terrible, didn't have a shot on target in the entirety of the match. And they've had a shot in this game, they've had at least one on target, but they've just done fuck all. They've done absolutely nothing. And a team like AC Milan, of course, you would expect them in a game like this to go out there and dominate, because they are a good side on their day. And you put the two teams on paper, AC Milan are just a much better side in terms of quality. But Celtic tonight, they're at home. They're going to want to put a good performance in, considering how poorly they played in the Old Firm derby. And they haven't really done anything at all. In fact, to get the stats up for you, for those of you that aren't necessarily watching the game and haven't really been able to keep an eye out on it, as it currently stands, Celtic have had the 4 shots, 1 on target. AC Milan have had 5 shots, 2 on target. And of course, they've got 2 goals in this match right now. And I've got to say, I don't really think that AC Milan have been at it today. They're not playing nowhere near at their best, but they haven't had to play nowhere near at their best, because right now, Celtic just really aren't, having a great game themselves. But I don't know what they can do to change it up at half-time, because they have a lot of work to do right now at Celtic Park if they want to get back into this game. And of course, if you're a Celtic fan, if you're not, or if you are just watching the game in general as a neutral, do put your thoughts and opinions in the chat. It would be interesting to see your guys' thoughts and opinions on the first 45 so far. And of course, be interesting to have a few kind of comments in the chat as well on how you think the game has gone. But right now, Celtic 2-0 down to AC Milan. They have a lot of work to do in the next 45, which is just coming up in about 15 minutes' time, as I drop my cap for my drink. But let's have a quick look at some of the other games that have been going on tonight. As we said before, there's a whole host of other Europa League fixtures that are going on across the board today. And as you can see on your screen right now, these are some of the most important games going on across the board tonight. So SC Braga, they're currently 1-0 up against AEK Athens. Goal scorer in that game was Brazilian Gelano in the 44th minute. They've dominated that game so far, possession and shots-wise. So, of course, very good game for Braga right now, the Portuguese side. Currently 1-0 up in their game. Leicester, they're now 2-0 up against Zoya. We talked about them a moment ago being 1-0 up. There's been a goal just before half-time. Harvey Barnes in the 45th minute there, making it 2-0 to Leicester against Zoya, of course. Their first competition in terms of coming back into the Champions League / Europa League since their incredible Champions League run this season after winning the title. Sparta Prague, they're 1-0 down to Losk Lille. Sparta Prague currently down to 10 men. They had a sending off. Ladislav Krejci getting sent off in the 23rd minute, but Losk Lille, they've made the most of that. It's the Turkish midfielder Yusuf Yazicki in the 45th minute, or Yaziki is technically his name, 45th minute, putting Lille into the lead in that game. And you would expect the away side to go on and win that game, considering that they are down to 10 men, Sparta Praha. Game of the night so far is the game between Villarreal and Sivasspor. Villarreal, they were 10 goals. There were 2 goals up, of course. Takefusa Kubo on loan from Real Madrid, scoring in the 13th minute. And then 7 minutes later, Carlos Bacca making it 2-0. That one looked like it was going to turn into a drubbing. But Sivasspor, they've been able to hold on. 2 goals in 10 minutes for them. Oluwenwaju Kayode, former Manchester City man, scoring in the 33rd minute, putting them in the hopes of a comeback. And they pretty much made a comeback, because it was Mustafa Yatabare in the 43rd minute that put them 2-2. So that leaves that game well and truly wide open. going into the second half. And if you're kind of looking for a game tonight to watch on the side, I would highly recommend putting that game on for the second half, because that one looks like it's going to be a very, very good game of football indeed to keep your eyes out on, considering there's already been 4 goals in it. Of course, Spurs, they're currently 2-0 up against Las Linz. A goal from Lucas Moura in the 18th minute and an own goal 9 minutes later means that they are very comfortable right now in that fixture, although stats-wise, they've not really had many opportunities, but that won't matter right now because, of course, they are 2 goals up either way, so I don't think Spurs fans will really care if they're winning the game 2-0, of course. And then a couple of other fixtures going on as well. Hoffenheim 0, Red Star Belgrade 0. Of course, Red Star were in the Champions League not too long ago, back in the Europa League once again, and currently 0-0 in that fixture. And then Dinamo Zagreb 0, Feyenoord 0. Feyenoord dominating that game in terms of chances, but they just can't quite seem to get the ball into the back of the net in that match. So still 0-0 in that game as it currently stands. But turn my camera off. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. As of right now, the main game that we're covering, it is Celtic 0, AC Milan 2, and there is a lot of work for AC Milan to do. Celtic, to do if they want to get back and produce an incredible comeback in this game. So let's have a look at your guys' comments in the chat while we've got a little bit of time left. Rangers are the best team, of course, putting a few things about Rangers being better than Celtic. Sasha saying Milan is a much stronger club than Standard. I'm guessing you mean Standard Liège, I'm guessing, or just Celtic Standard. But I was saying Everton should sign Donnarumma. Spurs, maybe, should sign Donnarumma as well. I mean, you've put in the chat there, I want Donnarumma myself, and I think it'll be interesting to see where he is, because I don't think he'll be at AC Milan much longer. I think there will be a point where he will probably move on and maybe we will see him in the Premier League, but I think I can't see him being an AC Milan player for much longer, considering his agent is Mino Raiola. You know, he'll probably be a Premier League player in a few years' time. Kyle in the stream, as always, hope you're good, buddy. He says, I remember watching Celtic playing big teams and thinking, well done. Now I watch them and just think, how did you get so bad? And I guess it comes back to the thing about Neil Lennon. To be honest, I look at Neil Lennon and I think, if you were in any other job, you wouldn't get a job like Celtics. Do you know what I mean? He's very lucky that he has a job like this, because, you know, at the end of the day, there are probably other managers out there that would want this job. And I think there'd be a couple of Celtic fans that would be hoping that eventually Neil Lennon does get sacked so they can go out and get someone else. But I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him this season, because they are going to want to get that 10th Scottish League title. They're probably going to want to not challenge for the Europa League, but get out of the group stages, because it is a tough group. They've got a very tough group indeed, but they're going to want to try and prove themselves. And of course, right now they've had a very shocking first 45 minutes. And I don't think Neil Lennon will be there next season, to be honest. I think he'll get sacked or he'll leave, either one of the two. I don't know whether Celtic fans will agree or disagree with that. Definitely put it in the chat to what you think. And then a couple of other things as well. Chris saying he's loving the Rangers fan right now, enjoying his time in the stream, of course, while Celtic are losing right now 2-0. And then, of course, Kyle said Juve will probably buy Donnarumma, which probably wouldn't surprise me. I guess Szczesny's not necessarily old, but they're going to have to eventually replace Buffon. I guess they've got Perrin as well, but we'll have to see what happens over time. But yeah, it's not really been a good game so far for Celtic. They've got a lot of work to do in the next 45 minutes. But here's a quick look at some of the stuff that's still to come on the channel over the next couple of weeks. If you are new, as always, do leave a like and a subscription. It is very, very greatly appreciated indeed. And thank you to all of you that have come in and subscribed. It's always very, very greatly appreciated. But this is some of the stuff still to come on the channel over the next couple of weeks. You'll be able to see on your screen now that our next live stream is on the 24th of October as Barcelona take on Real Madrid in El Clasico. We're live from 2:45 for that one. Then next week, the match day 2 goals show for the Champions League on the 27th of October. It's groups A to D, and then on the 28th of October, it's groups E to H. So if you don't have access to the Champions League and you want to keep up to date with all the goals, I highly do recommend joining us for that next week. And then on the 29th of October, our pick of the bunch next week is Real Sociedad versus Napoli. That is on the 29th of October, once again at 7:45 start, 8 PM kickoff for that game. And of course, we're going to pick out one game a week in the Europa League to cover. The Champions League, we're going to do our goal show, so do keep your eyes out, because of course we've still got a couple more weeks of match day action the first 3 match days of the Europa League and the Champions League are taking place each week. So we've got plenty of football still to come over the next couple of weeks. But for those of you that have just joined, whether you're a Celtic fan, an AC Milan fan or a neutral, AC Milan currently 2-0 to the good in their fixture against Celtic. The question is, can Celtic provide a comeback, or will AC Milan continue on in their dominance in this Europa League fixture? Of course, I would probably have to say I think it's more likely that AC Milan will just continue on their dominance in this match. But you never know. Of course, Celtic could provide a little bit of a shock in this game. We will have to find out indeed. But let's have a look at your comments while we're still on the break right now. Bernaldo saying, I'm here in Real Madrid, still interested in potentially bringing back Reguilon. They can piss off. I hope they win the league, the UCL, all of it, and their fullbacks are incredible quality. Leave Reguilon alone. And I guess, yeah, he's one of those, isn't it, where I don't think they should have ever put the buyback clause in. I think it was a horrible decision to do that, because you know Real Madrid are eventually going to come back and maybe go and get him. By the way, I'm going to eat on stream, so I do apologise about this, but it's an awful decision from Spurs to put the buyback clause back in. I think they shouldn't have done that, because you know eventually Real Madrid are going to come up at some point and they're going to probably try and buy him back. So we'll have to see what happens there. And then Chris has put, no doubt Morata will re-sign for Real Madrid next summer transfer window. He's going on a roundabout of transfers, that's the thing. He's moving to all the different clubs he's been to, at least twice over. He's a crazy man, Morata. It's a weird one with him, because I just feel like he just goes to the same clubs over and over again. So he'll probably go back to Real Madrid, and then he'll probably end up at Atletico Madrid again at some point. I mean, the amount of money that's been spent on him is ludicrous. I think it was something like £200 million has been spent on Alvaro Morata in transfers, which is bonkers. Absolutely bonkers, because, yeah, he's a good player on his day, but he's not necessarily worth £200 million over time, is he? I don't think he's really ever paid back the majority of clubs he's played for, to be honest. I think maybe Real Madrid is probably the best club he's been at in terms of the actual quality of his standards. I kind of feel like he's dropped off ever since then. But just have a look at a couple of the things that could happen in this game. Of course, remember in the second half that these teams do have 5 substitutions that they can use in this game. And I'm just looking at the bench right now to see a couple of the players that they could bring on to maybe change this game up. So just looking on the bench for Celtic, they've got the likes of Tom Rogic, the Australian midfielder, Mohamed El Yunusi, who started in the Old Firm derby last week. Karamoko Dembele as well, the youngster who has burst onto the scene at the age of 17. We could maybe see him come on at some point in the Europa League tonight. We'll have to find out, of course, over time with what happens there. And then looking at the bench for AC Milan, they've got the likes of Rafael Leao, the Portuguese forward. I think we'll probably see him come on at some point. Alexis Salamakers, the Belgian winger, he's pretty good on his day as well. So it'll be interesting to see if AC Milan do bring on a couple of their other big boys, because they have the likes of a couple of other youngsters as well. They've got Pierre Kalulu, who is a right back. He could come on at some point and just rest a couple of their players, because obviously right now they don't really need players like Ibrahimovic necessarily on the pitch, because I guess if they can get another goal in this game, make it 3-0, then they could probably start resting players like Ibrahimovic and Castillejo ahead of their next fixture in the Italian league. But we should be getting underway in a moment with the second half. I'm going to crack open a can on stream. Bit of ASMR there for the viewers. But if you're on here, as always, do leave a like and a subscription. Very, very greatly appreciated indeed if you have enjoyed the stream so far. And talking about substitutions, the players are back onto the pitch. We'll find out here if we've had any substitutions from either side. But I think from what we're seeing here, I think Rogic might have come on for Celtic. We'll find out in a moment, of course, when the game does kick off. But we are about to get underway with the second half. As it currently stands, it is Celtic 0, AC Milan 2. And of course, Celtic here at Celtic Park have got a lot of work to do in the next 45 if they want to get a comeback of at least a point, or an incredible comeback of 3 goals and 3 points, which is very, very doubtful that that's going to happen indeed. But you never know. That's the special thing about football. It could just happen. So I'm going to put it on the screen now. There you go once again for those of you that have just joined. try not to spoil if any goals do go in, because I am going to be a little bit behind in this game. I am currently watching it on the BT Sport app, so it tends to usually be about a minute and a half behind watching it on a regular TV. So I do apologise about that, but we are back underway. And once again, what we will do on the bottom of the screen is, for those of you that want to keep up to date with the other scores across the board in the Europa League tonight, you can see them on the screen right now. But AC Milan are coming forward here. There's an early chance, a ball lofted into the box, all the way to Brahim Diaz, who's done very, very well indeed to get a touch on the ball. Very, very well. And it was actually across, I think, from Rade Krunic there. Somehow was able to ping it to Brahim Diaz, but just didn't make the most of that opportunity there. The Spaniard, who, of course, does already have a goal to his name tonight, which is it was a very good goal indeed if you haven't seen it. Just spins the two defenders entirely. It was Welsh and Duffy, and a lovely, lovely finish from the Spaniard there. And I do feel like we're going to see a few more goals here. And there's a mistake at the back, which could lead to a goal. It's Rade Krunic. It's a crunching tackle from Christopher Ayer. What a tackle that is. A really good sliding tackle from the Norwegian on Krunic. And those are the types of tackles that you want to keep in the game. It's a good crunching sliding tackle. And it's actually led Celtic on the counter-attack here. And it does look like they have made changes. So it's 2 changes that they've made. Welsh has come off and Lee Griffiths. And on comes Ryan Christie and Mohamed El Yunusi. So 2 changes for Celtic. Of course, you would expect them to make changes because they've got to go for it. And I guess when you have 5 substitutions, you can make a few more changes early on here. But they're coming forward, Celtic. First chance of the second half is with Scott Brown. Now it's into the feet of Callum McGregor, who lays the ball to Lax out on the left-hand side. Now it's into Mohamed El Yunusi, the Norwegian winger, just trying to get the ball into the box, but it's cleared away by Simon Kjaer, and it's just comfortable at the back right now for AC Milan. We said about it in the first half, they've not really been majorly tested in this game so far by Celtic, but we could see that change over time as Celtic open up a little bit more and try and push forward in this game. But just going back to a few of your comments, because I do apologise for missing them. Kyle says, do you think Celtic's 10 in a row run is right? Technically, they didn't finish the league and win it fairly. I know it's a mean thing to say with the pandemic right now, but it just doesn't feel right. And I think for a couple of people, they'll probably look back at that and they'll kind of think very similar, Kyle, in the sense that the 9th one, of course, doesn't. It does count, but it doesn't. You know what I mean with the whole COVID situation. So I think there'll be a few people saying it's still technically 9 with the whole COVID thing, but I guess there's some leagues which gave the title, there's some leagues that didn't, and I guess you just have to respect the decision that was made. And although, yes, it was a pandemic title, it's given, do you know what I mean? It goes down in the history books that Celtic won the league, even if it was a pandemic-ridden season. Which I know there'll be a few Rangers fans and just people in general, not just even for Celtic, but for example, when PSG were given the title in Ligue 1, it's one of those where, technically, yes, they would have gone on and won it, but it's a pandemic-ridden title to a certain extent. But Chris has asked, I personally don't agree with third-place teams from Champions League dropping into the Europa League. What are your thoughts? And I don't think it's fair, but there's a chance here for AC Milan. It's Ibrahimovic just slowly strolling into the box. He's gone down, and this isn't good here. Well, Ibrahimovic is getting up, which is good, but not good. Frimpong is down in the box, and hopefully this isn't anything too serious because it's a collision between Ibrahimovic and Frimpong, and it looks like he's going to get back up to his feet, which is a good sign, but it's a mistake actually from Shane Duffy. Gave the ball away, gives it to, I think it was Rade Krunic, who laid the ball to Ibrahimovic, spun the defender, which was fucking beautiful from Ibra. But the good news is Frimpong's okay, Ibrahimovic is okay. And we know, of course, Ibrahimovic has had a few severe injuries in his time, and of course Frimpong as well. You don't want him to get injured, but both are okay, back up on their feet, and the game is back underway. But to come back to your point, Chris, I do agree with you. I don't really like the fact that the third place teams in the Champions League do come down. I think that should be changed because 9 times out of 10, the winner of the Europa League is most likely to be one of the teams that has come down from the Champions League, and I guess it's frustrating for those teams in the Europa League if they've played from the start in the group stages and then they get knocked out by a team who've just come down from the Champions League. But I guess next season is going to be a little bit different in the Europa League as well, because as far as I'm aware, if you finish third next season in the Europa League, you'll then qualify for the the second Europa League, Euro Cup 2, whatever it's called. So there technically will be like a second chance on the line for those teams in the Europa League next season as well, which I guess makes it a little bit more fair. So then there are teams dropping down from the Europa League into the Euro Cup 2 section. But Celtic are coming forward here. They've got a chance. It's Elyounoussi outside the box. Really good work to Laxalt. Takes on the volley. And that is the first big chance, I've got to say, of the second half here. Good applause there from Neil Lennon. It's the former AC Milan player, Diego Laxalt, who takes the shot on the half volley. He takes a touch just inside of the box. He strikes, and it's a curling effort, but I think Donnarumma would have had it in his hands anyway, but it's a little bit too heavy in terms of the half volley. It goes over, and it is a goal kick for Donnarumma. But a little chance there, a little glimmer of hope, you could say, for Celtic in terms of having opportunities in this match. But just looking at some of your comments in the chat, Chris saying Liverpool won it properly as the league carried on in the end. And went on to put they 100% earned it. People wanted the COVID lockdown to cancel the league, and once that's back, then they wanted an asterisk. And that's the thing. I think people would have not been happy either way, no matter what happened, whether the title was given to them or not. But do you know what the thing is? The league was finished. You know, you guys, you played all your games out. It's deserved. Do you know what I mean? But, I mean, there'll be a few Celtic fans as well that will say, well, we deserved it as well because, you know, we played a lot of games, and I think Celtic would have probably gone on and won the league anyway, let's be real. So, I still count it. I still count it. Because everywhere was a pandemic-ridden season. It wasn't just like there was something going on in Scotland and that was it. But, you know, I think they still deserved it. It's still a title. And as I said, either way, it goes into the history books as a title, no matter what. So, I guess, you know, you could say really that the opinions of people don't really matter. But it is understandable as to why people kind of will say it's a bit of an asterisk title. Do you know what I mean, basically? In terms of, it's not a proper league if you haven't played all your games. But Celtic are coming forward here. This is a potential chance. Mohamed Elyounoussi on the ball. He's looked very lively in these first couple of minutes of the second half, as you would expect him to be, of course. And, it's really poor there. Once again, they've just given the ball away. But we have had a goal elsewhere in one of the other games. And, well, this is an interesting one. Sparta Prague, of course, as they're mainly known to many, were down to 10 men in the 20th minute. And, of course, lost Lille not too long ago in the first half. Did get a goal in that game to put them in the lead. Sparta Prague have actually got one back. First minute of the second half, Dokal got the goal back in that game. And it's 1-1. And the 10 men of Sparta Prague are probably going to try and push here. Not necessarily for a winner, but to try and at least get a point in their game. But Sparta Prague won. Lost Lille 1. Sparta Prague down to 10 men. Whether they can hold on or not, we'll have to find out over time. But let's go back to this game between Celtic and AC Milan. There's a potential chance here. Frank Kessie is giving the ball away, and it's a Yeti trying to lead the counter-attack. Sprays the ball towards Elyounoussi on the far left-hand side. It's a heavy ball from the Swiss striker, but Elyounoussi gets there. Tries to loft the ball into the box towards the path of, I think it's looking like Ryan Christie. It was indeed, but it's a heavy cross from Elyounoussi. And it might lead AC Milan to a counter-attack, although AC Milan are going to get a throw in here. Good tackle there from Ryan Christie to make up for the poor cross a moment ago. But Neil Lennon looking a little bit frustrated, of course. They've still got half an hour in this game to try and get something back. But I really do feel like AC Milan are probably going to get one more goal in this game. I kind of expect it to happen, but we'll have to find out, of course, with the 35 minutes left of play to go. But Chris in the chat saying, I'm glad we finished the Premier League games off, as that was the right decision to decide top four and relegation. I agree with you, because I think had it have not been played, it would have been so hard to decide who was going down and who was going up. I mean, you've only got to look at Ligue 1. There was legal lawsuits with teams getting relegated and teams getting promoted, and it was just a messy nightmare. And I think the last thing was to go down that route. But we've got a long-range effort here for Celtic, and well, it was Ryan Christie, who has only been on the pitch for a couple of minutes here. It's about 30 yards out from goal from the far left-hand side of the pitch. He tries to take it on his left foot, tries to curl it into the top left-hand corner, but it's a little bit too high once again. Doesn't really test Donnarumma at all, and it does go out for a goal kick in the end. But the good thing is, in this first 10 minutes, that Celtic have had more chances. They've looked a little bit more brighter than they did in the first half, and I think we will see probably a few more changes for Celtic if it still stays 2-0 to AC Milan, because you never know, they could push back in this game. They only need one goal. If they can keep it at 2-0, get a goal back with, half an hour to go or 20 minutes, you're going to put AC Milan under a lot of pressure with 20 minutes left of play. But, of course, they could still go at the other end and score 3, which, talking about them now, they are coming up at the other end. It's Samu Castillejo on the right-hand side, trying to get towards the box. Lays the ball into the path of Diego Dallo. He's put a very good cross into the box, but Ibrahimovic just can't get a touch, and it will actually go out of play for an AC Milan throw in. Slight deflection on the ball from Frimpong. It's with Brahim Diaz on the left-hand side, just outside of the box. Really poor touch towards Ibrahimovic, and the ball just gets away from the Swede, and eventually it's cleared away by the Celtic man, Frimpong, who has been very, very busy tonight on the pitch for Celtic, doing a lot of defending, and he's done very well indeed, I've got to say. He's probably been one of the better players on the pitch for Celtic tonight. And I guess that's pushing it, because I can't really say there's been many good players on the pitch for Celtic tonight when they are 2-0 down, but he's been all over the place, and I do think, and I'd like to see Karamoko Dembele come on, the youngster. Of course, a bright spark for the future. It would be nice to see him come on at some point and maybe try and brighten the game up a little bit. But, of course, they've got so much time left in this match. I think we'll probably see changes in the next 10 minutes or so. But Celtic are on the attack once again here. It's Diego Laxalt on the left-hand side of the pitch. Going to try and whip a ball into the box. But it's an awful cross from Laxalt, and the frustrations are starting to build now for Celtic. They know, of course, time is of the essence, and crosses like that from Laxalt are just, really poor. Less said about that, to be honest, the better. It is really the best way to put it for the people that aren't watching at home and are kind of relying on me to describe the game. It was an awful cross, and it's gone out of play for a goal kick, which kind of proves my point. But just have a look at a couple of the games going on right now as well. Still 2-2 between Villarreal and Sivasspor. Of course, Tottenham 2-0 up against Las Linz. Leicester City 2-0 up against Zoya, the Ukrainian side. A couple of the other games that I haven't really talked about tonight. Maccabi Tel Aviv 1-0 up against Karabag. Liberec 1-0 up against Ghent. That'd be a good result for them tonight. Of course, you'd expect Ghent to be the favourites in that one. Wolfsburg, not the Wolfsburg for the Bundesliga, but the Wolfsburg from Austria. 1-1 against CSKA Moscow. And then, of course, Braga currently 1-0 up against AEK Athens, and Hoffenheim still 0-0 against Red Star Belgrade. Plenty of time left in that match, but we'll go back to this game now between Celtic and AC Milan, because Laxalt has given away a free kick here, a very shoddy free kick to give away, and I'm surprised the referee hasn't got a yellow card out for that. But a few tackles going in there from the Uruguayan on some of his former teammates, of course. Former AC Milan player. He will know a lot of the players in this side because he played with him a couple of months ago. Of course, was on loan at Genoa last season. Now on loan at Celtic. He's been all over the place in Italy, and now he's playing his trade in Scotland. And I think, as I said before, it'd be interesting to see how he does do with Celtic this season, because I do think at times he's a pretty decent player on his day. But whether he'll be a good fit for Celtic or not, I don't know. But Celtic here just trying to add a little bit of pressure onto AC Milan, as we expect. They've got to go out there, push this away side a little bit more. And by the way, thank you for whoever has subscribed, because we have had another new subscriber. It's very greatly appreciated. And I know, of course, it is kind of me talking for 2 hours, which can get a little bit boring to some people, which is understandable, but it's just greatly appreciated for those of you that have enjoyed it. That if you want to, you do leave a subscription, as always. Sasha said Zlatan is from Bosnia. Unless there's another Zlatan that's from Bosnia. Of course, he is the Swedish forward. But Celtic going forward once again here. It's Laxalt on the left-hand side. Keeps going here, Laxalt, but that's an exceptional tackle from Diego Dallo, who's actually a debutant today. First game for AC Milan. Of course, we all know him from Manchester United, playing a couple of games there, but on loan at AC Milan for the rest of the season, and he's had a pretty solid game, to be honest. And, you know, as I said before, the AC Milan defence looks very calm, very resolute, looks aware and alive to the danger when it comes from Celtic. While I feel like it's quite opposite from Celtic, that when AC Milan are coming forward, they look a little bit worried at the back, a little bit nervous. It's a tense atmosphere at the back, and we've seen a few mistakes when Welsh was on the pitch, giving the ball to Scott Brown in such an awkward position that puts him under pressure. But yeah, the back line of AC Milan just looks so calm. Really, really calm indeed. But we've had a goal elsewhere. I said about it, there's been one of the fixtures to keep your eyes on. If you're looking for a game that is an absolute thriller tonight, then I highly recommend still switching it on, because Villarreal, it was 2-2 between Sivasspor at half-time. Villarreal, they're back in the lead once again, and it's one of their new boys, Juan Foyth, the Spurs centre-back on loan at Villarreal this season. He's bagged himself a goal, and Villarreal now lead that game. And I've got to say, stats-wise, that has been an absolutely fantastic match, and it's still got half an hour left of play. So if you are looking for a cracker, highly do recommend switching that on with half an hour to go, because I do feel like there could be a couple more goals in that game before the end of the match. But I still do feel like we might get a couple more goals in this one as well, because we've got half an hour left, and AC Milan haven't really made any changes so far. In fact, I don't think they made a change at all from what I've seen. We've only seen the 2 changes from Celtic, but I think we'll see those changes come soon. Maybe Ibrahimovic coming off, rest him for their Serie A games at the weekend, and bring on somebody like Raphael Leao, but we will find out in a moment. There's a long ball towards Ibrahimovic here, which Barkas does very well to clear his lines. Of course, Ibrahimovic, not the quickest of players in the world, so it's not necessarily a hard thing for Barkas to be able to come out of his goal and clear the ball away. But, of course, somebody like Raphael Leao in that situation is going to be a lot more quicker on the counter-attack. But we aren't going to see an AC Milan change here. We're going to see a Celtic change, and I think Tom Rogic looks like he's getting ready to come on. So another attacking change in this game for Celtic. With half an hour left of play, as we said, they've got to go for it, and we'll have to see in a moment whether... I think Scott Brown might come off from the looks of it. Maybe he's picked up a knock or something, but we'll find out in a moment. William saying, decent week commentator, buddy. Keep up the good work, pal. Thank you very much. It's very, very greatly appreciated. I know there's a couple of dislikes in the chat, and I know it's probably people coming into the stream thinking we've got an actual live game on, which, of course, as much as I would love to be able to sit here and have the live game on, unfortunately, copyright infringements mean we can't. And, of course, if I've said anything bad about Celtic, I do apologise. I do like Celtic. I do like Rangers. It's always nice to watch those games as a neutral. But just seeing now, Scott Brown is coming off, and Tom Rogic is coming onto the pitch. So whether Scott Brown's picked up a knock here, I don't know. Whether it's just a tactical change from Neil Lennon there, I don't know. But we're going to get our first AC Milan change as well of the night. Raphael Leao, he's coming on in a moment. Whether Ibrahimovic stays on or not, we'll find out. But there's a free kick here for Celtic. About 40 yards out from goal. Ryan Christie, I don't know whether that was a shot, to be honest, or whether he's tried a low ball into the box. But either way, goes into the box and is quite easily cleared away by Simon Kjaer. And nothing comes of it. But there's another ball lofted into the box here. And there's 2 players that have gone down for Celtic. I think it looks like it's Shane Duffy that's gone down. So I found himself in the striker position there. But he's okay. He's back up on his feet. And that's the important thing. He's okay right now. But as I said, a couple more chances here for Celtic. They just need to get that first goal in the back of the net. As I said, if they can make it 2-1, in the next kind of 10 minutes, put AC Milan under pressure. But we are going to see 2 changes for AC Milan now. So we'll find out who comes off in a moment. But Christ Boy in the stream says hello. Hope you're all good, buddy. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're all good and well. And of course, another result isn't the greatest right now, but do tell us in the chat what you think about this game so far, because it is 2-0 to AC Milan. And then Cal's put, do you think AC Milan loaned Celtic Laxalt so they could get the upper hand in the game, kind of like a spy? I mean, you never know. You never know, but I guess... I was going to say, I guess the groups were drawn after deadline day, but they weren't, were they? It was actually beforehand, so technically, you never know. It could have been a tactical decision, but I think He's a decent player on his day, Laxalt, and talking about it, he has just gone into the book with a yellow card, so gets a yellow card there against his former side, and we are going to have those 2 changes now for AC Milan. As I predicted, Ibrahimovic is coming off, probably to rest him, and Rafael Leao is coming onto the pitch. The young Brazilian forward, I can't wait to see what he can bring to the table with 25 minutes left of play. And Frank Kessie is coming off the pitch as well. The former Arsenal midfielder, Ismail Benassa, is coming onto the pitch, the Algerian midfielder. So 2 changes there for AC Milan with 25 minutes to go on the clock. And of course, as I said, a positive here for the Italians is that they can rest Zlatan Ibrahimovic now and not really have to worry. And I mean, he looks a little bit disappointed to be coming off, to be honest, but I guess it's just Zlatan Ibrahimovic, isn't it, really? But we've got a chance here for Celtic to counter-attack. Enchan with a very awful touch. Really heavy touch, and now he might lead AC Milan on attack. It's Rafael Leao. He's been on the pitch for 2 seconds. Lays the ball towards Brahim Diaz. Tries to backheel it towards Leao, but Shane Duffy's there to clear the ball away. And it's lucky, once again, that Milan haven't made the most of that opportunity, because we could have quite easily been saying there that Rafael Leao, with his second touch of the game, had a goal in the back of the net. But nervy. It's so nervy at the back. That's the problem with Celtic. I don't ever feel like they've looked comfy at the back at all in this game. And of course, do tell us in the chat what you think in terms of the match itself for the Celtic fans, because you might disagree with me and say they've looked a little bit more comfortable than I'm making them out to be. But my lord, we have had some mental games going on tonight. What a game of football this is. We've had 2 goals in some of the other games going on across the Europa League tonight. As I said earlier, if you haven't switched on the Villarreal game, I recommend with 25 minutes left, have it on alongside Celtic and AC Milan, because it is now Sivasspor free, Villarreal free. They've done it again. They've got back into it. They will just not back down. This time is, what a player. Former Leeds man, Maxime Gradel. Didn't even know he played for Sivasspor, but he's playing in the Europa League now. He's made it 3-3, and with 25 minutes left to go, that is an unbelievable game of football. And, well, it's some interesting plays in that game for Sivasspor. Some former players of the past playing for the Turkish side tonight. And then you might have seen as well, there's been another goal elsewhere. Loskilil, of course, they are up against 10-man Sparta Prague. We said earlier that Sparta Prague had equalised, but Yaziki, the Turkish midfielder, he's got his second goal of the night a couple of minutes ago, so it's 2-1 to Lynn in this game. But back to Celtic, AC Milan. We've got a free kick here for Celtic, which is going to be whipped in by Ryan Christie. They've got to make the most of this. It's really poor, but it's going to come down here for Celtic. And, oh my God, that is so poor. It was a chance there for El Yunusi to take a touchdown and maybe take a shot, and now AC Milan can counter-attack from that corner. It's Rafael Leao just on the halfway line. He's given the ball up there, and it's some really, really good defending, I have to admit, there from Shane Duffy to just get a slight touch on the ball and lead another potential counter-attack to the original counter-attack. But Celtic are just going to slow it down here, which I guess you don't want them to do. With 20 minutes to go, you want them to be a little bit quicker and sharper. And as I said, I'm surprised here that Karamoko Dembele hasn't come on, but we've got another chance here. And it's Rogic with an effort, plays it off to El Yunusi, and that's poor. Really, really poor there from the Norwegian winger / striker, and it's just outside the box. So it's just inside the box, actually. He has a little bit more time than I think he expects there to take the shot on, but it's a really high effort. And once again, I don't think Donnarumma has really been tested all night. You know, there's been a couple of little saves he's had to make, but nothing too major. No wonder saves or moments that you'll look back on and think, well, that's the save that kept Milan in the game. I just think it's been really poor from Celtic. And I know there's a lot of you Celtic fans in here tonight. What's your thoughts on Celtic this season? Because, of course, I know the start for this season has been a little bit... it's been a decent start. Of course, you know, second in the league. But over the last couple of weeks, what's your thoughts on Celtic? Because I think for the fans, I think you'll probably be a little bit disappointed because, of course, Rangers have got a foothold in the league for now with the points, of course, although you have got a game in hand. But it's more Neil Lennon than anything. I don't really like Neil Lennon. I'm not going to lie. And I know I shouldn't be really bringing opinion into it, but I don't think Neil Lennon is an amazing manager. And I think there'll be a few Celtic fans as well that will think the same. But I don't really like him, to be honest. I think they could do so much better, Celtic. They could do so much better. But we have had another goal elsewhere, and the goals are flying in across the board tonight. We'll update you with the goals, of course, as they go in. Leicester City are now 3-0 to the good against Zoya. It was 2-0 at half-time, but Celtic are coming forward here. It's Frimpong trying to get across into the box, and it's cleared away by Ismail Benassa. And Celtic here just putting a little bit of pressure on AC Milan, but they can't get that finishing touch and putting the ball into the back of the net. But while the ball's gone out of play here, Leicester City 3-0 up now. Kelechi Iheanacho, the Nigerian striker, has put it 3-0 to good now for Leicester, so that'll be 3 points for the Premier League side in their first Europa League game of the season, of course. And Lille have made it 3-1 now in their game against Zagreb. You can see a few more goals maybe flying in that game now, of course, with the 10 men in that match. It has been a goal for, I think, Jonathan Bamba, who's got his name onto sheet. No, it's a Kone, actually. It's changed. It was Bamba. It's now a Kone. So 3-1 there to Lille. They'll be delighted with that one. And then Hoffenheim, who were 0-0 for a large part of the game. They've taken the lead against Red Star Belgrade. 1-0 in their game. Christoph Baumgartner, the Austrian midfielder, with the goal in that game. And they're 1-0 to the good. So a good result potentially there tonight for Hoffenheim. Always a tough team to face, Red Star Belgrade, although they are at home today, Hoffenheim, and not away. We know that Red Star Belgrade is a very hostile atmosphere to go to, but of course they're in Germany tonight, so a good result if Hoffenheim can hold on to that. But back to the game now. 18 minutes left. I've seen Christ Boy putting in the chat, I think international football should be cancelled, and I kind of agree with you to a certain extent. I think the playoffs for the Euros should have been played, but the actual other international fixtures should have kind of been held off. But I guess there'll be other people who'll say, well, this should technically be on and things like that. But do you agree? I guess that's an interesting talking point with international fixtures, because I guess if you look at Scotland's calendar, for example, you know, they've had their playoff fixtures, they had their Nations League games, and there's, you know, it's such a hectic schedule already that I do feel like maybe international fixtures shouldn't have been on, and they've been a little bit pointless apart from those Euro playoffs. But I think there'll be other people out there which will disagree with that and say, well, actually, we do like international fixtures. But Celtic coming forward here once again. Another potential opportunity this time from Jeremy Frimpong on the right-hand side. What can he do? He's been vibrant all night and trying his best, but still no goal here for Celtic with 17 minutes on the clock. Thank you for all the likes and subscriptions, by the way. If you are new to the channel, it's always greatly appreciated to leave a like and a subscription. If you have enjoyed it, of course, you haven't been able to access the Celtic AC Milan game. I know it's not everybody's fancy to have somebody sit there for 2 hours and just talk through the game, but I know for some of you, you kind of want to have a run through of what's going on. But we've got a free kick here for Celtic, just past the halfway line in the attacking phase of play, and they really need to get a goal soon because time is running out. And he's lax out on the left-hand side, going to lob a ball into the box. It's a decent ball indeed, but Simon Kjaer is able to clear the ball away with a very good header, and he now might lead AC Milan in the attack. Lovely work there from Castillejo, who's been fantastic all night in terms of the opportunities and the chances he's created for this AC Milan side. I mean, the assist for the second goal was just fantastic. For the first goal for Krunic was really, really good. Just a really nice, well-weighted ball towards the Bosnian midfielder. And he's on the ball now, actually, and he might have a chance to get another assist here. Going to lay the ball into the path of Ismail Benassa. Now into Diego Dallo on the far right-hand side. Just taking their time now, AC Milan. Of course, 2 goals to the good. They don't have to rush necessarily for a third goal, but it would be nice for them. And eventually, Barkas is going to get the ball after a header down from Shane Duffy. So a little bit risky there, but obviously saved by Shane Duffy's header back. Kaz asked a very good question, actually. Who would be your favourite player ever? I mean, it's a tough one, that, because I've got a lot of favourite players like over the years. But favourite player ever is a tough question, because I think if I go down my list of players, which I'll say about in a second because there's been a half chance. Rogic on the volley there, and it's really, really poor volley from Rogic. I mean, I think he's a little bit unexpected. He takes the shot on, and just seeing the replay now, it's lax out on the left-hand side, tries to chip a ball into the box. It's a touch from Ayeti that is flicked onto Rogic. He takes the volley on, but it actually deflects off one of his own players and goes out for a goal kick. But I really like Radamel Falcao. Oh, sorry, it's actually been given as a corner. How about it? It's come off an AC Milan play there. I thought it came off one of the Celtic boys, but they've got a corner here. And I will answer your question in a minute, Kyle, because Ryan Christie is going to put the ball into the box. And it's in the back of the net. It's 2-1. It's game on. And, well, out of nowhere, Mohamed El-Yunusi, they're back in it. And, well, we've talked about set pieces before today in terms of Celtic had to make the most of these set pieces opportunities. And of all players to score a header, I would not have expected it to be Mohamed El-Yunusi, the former Southampton man. He's got acres of space. It's Sandro Tonali marking him. I've got to say, he's ball-watching Tonali. He lets El-Yunusi into the free space. He puts it into the back of the net. And, well, out of nowhere, 14 minutes left of this game. I didn't think we'd be saying this. Celtic 1, AC Milan 2. It's game on. And, I mean, anything can happen. We said anything can happen. You know, if you can get a goal with, 10 or 15 minutes left of the match, you could put yourself in a very good position to potentially mount a comeback. And as I said, this second half, Celtic have looked better on the attack. They've had more chances, and they've made the most of the chance this time. It's 2-1, and we are going to get some more changes now. Charlie Taylor coming on for Celtic, and we're going to get 2 changes here as well. Not Charlie Taylor, it's Greg Taylor, isn't it? Who's coming on in this game for Celtic. And of course, there's going to be a few other changes as well. I believe Patrick Klimala, the Polish striker, has come on in the game too. So they're really going for it now, Celtic, as you would expect them to. But what a game of football this could turn out to be with 13 minutes left. Can Celtic do it? That's the question. I mean, Sasha's just put in the chat, come on Celtic. And I know that Celtic fans now will be starting to believe that maybe they can mount a comeback in this game, and they're coming forward once again here. Potential long-range effort. Not going to take it on Rogic. Going to lay it off towards Frimpong on the right-hand side. He's going to try and go up against Simon Kjaer. He's making it hard for him to whip a ball into the box. And he does very well indeed there, the Danish centre-back, to just put off Frimpong and make things awkward. And my lord, there's been another goal elsewhere in one of the games tonight. In fact, there's been 2 goals elsewhere. First goal, of course, to talk about. SC Braga now 2-0 up against AEK Athens. But there's a chance here for Celtic. Frimpong launches the ball into the box, and it's a chance for Klimala, who we just can't get a touch on the ball. But Braga 2-0 up. Things getting crazy now. We're into that last 10 minutes. But Villarreal are now 4-3 up against Sivasspor. This time, Paco Alcacer with the goal. 74 minutes on the clock. What a game of football that is. And if you have got it up on the screen and you're enjoying it, then, I mean, I still feel like there's probably going to be a few more goals in that game. But crazy game of football. 4-3 Villarreal. I feel like there'll be a few more goals in that one before the end of it. But it's definitely the game of the night so far in terms of the amount of goals. But we've still got time here now. AC Milan 2, Celtic 1. They're starting to believe. And we've got 2 changes now for AC Milan. 2 attacking changes. They're bringing on Hauge, their young Norwegian attacking winger that they signed quite recently from Bodo Glimt, who they played in the Europa League playoffs not too long ago. And then they've also brought onto the pitch Salimakers, the Belgian winger. So 2 attacking changes for AC Milan as they try to go for it. But Ranjan, who scored the goal for Celtic? It was Mohamed El-Yunusi, a header from a corner. Really good header. And we have a game on our hands. That's what we were wanting. 10 minutes left on the clock. Celtic look like they're going to go for it. But there could be a chance for AC Milan to come forward. It's a poor ball that's come to the substitute Haug, but the referee is going to bring it back for a free kick for Celtic. And Celtic fans, are you starting to believe? Can you do it with 10 minutes left on the clock? That is the question. Of course, the time is of the essence. Whether they do it or not, we'll have to find out. But, of of course, we would expect AC Milan to come forward here, which they are now. It's Sandro Tonali, laid off into the pack of Salemackers, the Belgian winger, the youngster. Just can't get the ball into the attackers of Raphael Leao, of course. And it's another chance that's wasted there for AC Milan. And, well, they've got so many players on the pitch now. So many attacking options available for Celtic that I do feel like they could do it, maybe. Who knows? We'll have to find out. But there's been another goal elsewhere. Slavia... Oh, Jesus, my bad. Lille now 4-1 up against Sparta Prague. Sparta Prague, of course, down to 10 men tonight, quite early on in their game. It's now 4-1. Yusuf Yaziki, the Turkish attacking midfielder, has now got himself a hat-trick. It's 3 goals in half an hour, means that he is now 4-1 to the good, and he's going to take the match ball home. So congratulations to Yaziki there, of course. Really good performance tonight from Lost Lille, as you would expect them to go out there and do with 10 men. But what a game of football. As Carl has just put in the chat, Villarreal 4, Sivasspor 3. What a match. Crazy good game of football that is. And it's one of those games where you look at it on paper and you probably wouldn't have expected it to have been as good of a match, but it's delivered. I mean, Sivasspor are debutants tonight, never played in the Europa League before, and they've certainly put up a very good performance tonight for how they've played. But, of course, it'd be interesting here to see what happens in the last couple of minutes of that one. And talking about it, there has been a goal in that game. It is now game, set and match because Villarreal have made it 5-3. It's been a close game all night, but Villarreal look like they're finally going to nick a result in that game and take the 3 points home. But while I say that, Celtic are coming forward here. It's a chance for Rogic, and it's an opportunity that's an opportunity for Rogic that's wasted. He lays the ball into El Yunusi. It's a really good pass from him. Really good touch. And El Yunusi, once again, it's a poor shot. Just way highward of the goal. And although he's had that header into the back of the net, I do think El Yunusi's finishing is a little bit questionable at times. But 5-3 to Villarreal. Paco Alcacer, 2 goals in 4 minutes. That should surely now be game, set and match. What a performance that's been tonight from the Spaniards, and a great game of football indeed. And if you've been able to watch that match, then you picked the right game tonight, because it's been a classic match to watch and enjoy in the background. But yeah, we've got a few more minutes left here. AC Milan 2, Celtic 0. Celtic 1, not 0. I hope they're not 0, or else they wouldn't be fighting. And they're going to get a free kick here, AC Milan, just at the halfway line. And I kind of want Celtic to get back into it. If they can get a draw against AC Milan tonight, it's a good result for them, considering, you know, for large spells of this game, they were on the back foot. Especially in the first half, they were battered by AC Milan. But you could look back and say, well, AC Milan, they never really hit the high note tonight. Never really had to get to the top of their game to get a result. But we've still got 7 minutes left of normal time. And I think we might get a few minutes of additional time. So let's keep our eyes on it, because Barkas has got a goal kick here, which he's going to be able to throw out to Frimpong. He's going to come down the left-hand side of the pitch. Now cuts into the middle. Lays it off to Oliver Encham. Time is running out for Celtic here. Ball towards El Yunusi. Lovely bit of skill from the Norwegian player there. Nearly gives the ball up, but he's come back here to Celtic once again. Here's Klimala. Lays the ball into Greg Taylor on the left-hand side. It's a great tackle. Really good tackle from one of the AC Milan defenders. I think it's going to go out for a goal kick, but it was really, really good work from Diego Dallo, who's had a great night tonight. And Rangers are the best team in the world to put Celtic fans back from under their rocks. Of course, they've still got a few minutes to find out if they can nick something here in this game, but it is giving us a goal kick. And Neil Lennon just not pleased, of course. His team still are in the game right now, but he will kind of be hoping here that they can nick an equaliser in these last couple of minutes, because, as I said, time is running out. They've got to do something here if they want to get back into the game. And, of course, now all the 5 substitutions have been used up by Celtic. As for AC Milan, they have got one more substitution that they can make in the next couple of minutes. So you could maybe see a defensive substitution come on just to, reassure the AC Milan back line with a couple of minutes left. But we'll have to see what happens here. With 5 minutes left on the clock, I'm going to get a drink because my mouth is very dry. Of course, it's quite a nightmare sometimes when you do it on your own, because having to talk for 2 hours is a little bit of a nightmare sometimes. But Celtic coming up once again, playing long ball this time, trying to get it towards the path of, I think it's Greg Taylor, who's playing as a left mid right now, more than anything. Just in the chat, Rangers best team. Don't worry, Josh, when they lose, they go back under their rocks. That includes tonight. I bet you are loving this right now. Rangers are best team in the world. I know there'll be a few Celtic fans probably watching on thinking, oh, we might get an equaliser here, but you must be loving this right now. But a yellow card's going to come out. Ryan Christie going into the book here. A tactical foul just to break up the play as AC Milan going on the counter-attack. A foul there on Sandro Tonali, and of course, it's the right decision from the referee. There's not much you can do in that situation. It's just a good tactical foul that's been given there. But can they do it? Time is running out. 4 minutes left on the clock. And we have had a goal, I think, elsewhere. Just making sure. No, it's all right. Sasha had put there'd been a goal, but it was one of the goals that had gone in earlier. But Celtic are on the attack here. Can they get an equaliser? It's McGregor. Lays it into Frimpong on the right-hand side of the pitch. Lovely bit of trickery from Frimpong. Gets round the defender, Kaya. Can he flick the ball into the box? It's laid towards the path of Klamala. Deflection on the ball from Romagnoli. We've got a corner here for Celtic. This is what they need. As I said, he's been so lively tonight, Frimpong. And that is that one moment where he's really been able to get out there and have a chance. And you can see the frustrations now for Neil Lennon. He's getting very, very annoyed indeed. And it looks like Ryan Christie's going to take the corner here. Can they put this into the back of the net? They've already scored from a corner today. Can they make the most of this corner and make it 2-2? Christie whips the ball into the box. And it's a really poor cross, which Raphael Leao is able to head away with no issue. Very good header away there from Raphael Leao. And once again, Celtic coming on the attack. We've had another goal elsewhere, by the way. A goal for Tottenham. Tottenham are now 3-0 up in their game against Las Linz. We'll have a look at the goal scorer in a minute. But Celtic have been given a free kick here, about 30 yards out from goal. Salamakers has gone into the book with a yellow card. This could be the chance for Celtic. But the goal scorer in the Tottenham game is Heung-min Son. So 3-0 to Spurs now. Good performance tonight from them. And Heung-min Son gets his name on the goal sheet. Of course, the ever-consistent South Korean attacker. But this is it now. Free kick here. Not in a position necessarily to hit this on goal. More to hit towards into the box towards the likes of Shane Duffy and Christopher Ayer. But let's see what happens here, because Greg Taylor is staying on the left-hand side. I've got a feeling here that this is going to be laid off to Greg Taylor, who's going to try and hit it into the box from just towards where the corner flag is. But we'll see what happens here. Encham walks away from it. Ball is whipped into the box. And it's a really poor effort, but it's going to come back to McGregor. But the referee has given a free kick. There's been a foul as the free kick's gone into the box. So an AC Milan free kick it's going to be. Shane Duffy giving away a foul there. And it's really, really poor. And just looking right now, it is the correct decision. Very sloppy there from Shane Duffy. Fouls one of the players, pulls them down in the box. And the referee's going to give a free kick anyway. And it's that opportunity, that moment there where Celtic have had a kind of a 5-minute, 10-minute, you could say, spell where they've been dominating the game. You have to make the most of it in that situation. Unfortunately, it looks like they are going to come out here empty-handed in this fixture, but there's still time left. I'm interested to see how much additional time the referee does add on at the end of this game. I've just seen in the chat Blair Hill saying, "Have my kids Kamaru." But AC Milan are coming forward here. This could be a chance for them to nick the winner in this game. Ball lofted towards Raphael Leao. And how has he not scored? Oh, well, it should be 3-1. It really should be 3-1. The ball is lofted into the box. Raphael Leao, in acres of space, on his own. He gets a touch on the ball. I will give a little bit of credit to Christopher Ayer. I do think he puts him off very slightly. But it should be 3-1. It's a simple finish. He's pretty much, 3-4 yards out from goal? And his touch is really poor. Barkas collects the ball. And could that be the one opportunity in the game that costs AC Milan? Will they be looking back at that in a couple of minutes and thinking we should have had that in the back of the net to end the game? Because the referee has added on 3 minutes of additional time in this game, and Celtic are coming forward. Oliver Encham, just outside of the box, takes on a long-range effort, but it's not necessarily as close as he'd like it to be. Donnarumma dives, but it's not really as close to the goal as it could have been. And that could be the one opportunity that Celtic could have had and made the most of, which Oliver Encham hasn't. And AC Milan have got a goal kick here. And of course, they will now be quite happy to sit back and relax and waste the last couple of minutes of time that's left for them. And, well, I think Celtic here have to... they have to say that they've done fairly well in the second half. I think the first half was very disappointing. AC Milan dominated them for a majority of the first half, but it's been really poor, I think, from Celtic tonight. They had to do better in the first half, and you can see on Neil Lennon's face right now, if you're watching it, it kind of looks like the face of defeat. He's kind of accepted here that Celtic aren't going to get anything from this game, but, AC Milan tonight, they haven't had to hit the highest heights to beat this Celtic side. It's been a very simple victory for them, but I think there'll be a few disappointing Celtic fans tonight because AC Milan, they were there for the taking. And there's been a few spells and moments where players like Frimpong have come out and tried to be a little bit of vibrant on the ball with their pace and their skill and their tenacity, but ultimately just hasn't been enough tonight to come out and get a win here against AC Milan. And it looks like they could get a third here because there's a chance for them to come forward, and it could be 3-1, and it is 3-1, and that is game, set and match. And it is the Norwegian youngster Haug, who they signed after playing against him in the Europa League qualifiers, who finds himself one-on-one with Barkas, and that really is game, set and match. 3-1 to AC Milan. And as I said, they haven't had to hit the highest heights tonight, but they will go home with 3 points. Celtic are going, and it's defeat in the first match day of the Europa League. And, well, just looking back at the replay here, it's good work from Salimakers, finds the space for Haug. He's one-on-one with the keeper. It's a simple finish for the Norwegian youngster. It's a really good ball from the Belgian Salimakers. And, of course, it's 3-1. It's game, set and match. And on a night, I have to say, where Celtic had opportunities to maybe try and get something, ultimately, they're not going to come out with anything. And AC Milan are going to nick the 3 points. Well, not nick the 3 points. They've deserved it. But they will take the 3 points back to Italy. And they will not... I think, technically, they will go second in the group, of course, because currently, Lille are 4-1 up in their game. So, AC Milan will go into second. Of course, Celtic will go third and Sparta Prague will go fourth. But the referee has blown his whistle. That is game, set and match. And it's a disappointing result tonight for Celtic fans because they've lost the game 3-1. And you've got to say, when this group stage came out, it was one of the games that on paper looked absolutely incredible. It was a mouth-watering fixture. And Celtic tonight, they came into this game in the first half. They disappointed, really disappointed. AC Milan dominated large spells of that first 45 minutes, and they did very, very well indeed. But ultimately tonight, the second half wasn't enough. They went out there in the second half, a couple more attacking changes from Neil Lennon, tried their very best to go out there and change things up. And, El Yunusi in the 76th minute getting that headed goal, which was a really nice header from the Norwegian. But ultimately, it wasn't enough tonight. And the Norwegian youngster Haug went through on goal in the last minute, was able to get that goal, make it 3-1. And ultimately tonight, AC Milan, they didn't have to hit the highest heights, but they got the 3 points. And that's all that matters. It doesn't have to be an enthralling and emphatic result. Take the 3 points. It can be a gritty game. And I think at times it was a bit of a gritty game where AC Milan were going to have to sit back while Celtic came flurrying forward, trying to get a goal back in to make the game interesting. But ultimately tonight, it's AC Milan that come out on top. And they have the 3 points in the bag. Now, I've just seen Blair Hill asking, are you streaming the Rangers versus Poznan game next week? We won't be, but the Celtic-Benfica game which I know is in match day 3. We are going to be covering that one live. So we are going to have the Rangers game on for match day 3 because we wanted to do a Rangers game. And that Benfica match looks bloody fantastic on paper. So that is the fixture we're going to be covering in match day 3. But just in the chat, Calvin saying, great stream tonight. Fully enjoyed it. Also off topic, hope Ireland win the Six Nations. Very best of luck for you in the Six Nations. And thank you very much for joining us, Kyle, as always. Very greatly appreciated. Rangers are the best team in the world. But Rangers are the team doing 10 in a row. Can you hear that silence? Oh, I figured just the Celtic fans as you were. You've been loving it tonight. Absolutely loving it in the chat. But we are going to do a Rangers stream. As I said, Rangers versus Benfica is the game we're going to cover in match day 3. So do keep your eyes out for that in a couple of weeks' time because we will cover that game live, of course, when that takes place in match day 3. Looking forward to that one. Going to be very exciting indeed. But all the games are pretty much finishing now, so we'll have a quick look at some of the scores across the door. So as you can see on your screen right now, the updated scores tonight. So Braga beating AK Athens 3-0, Leicester with a 3-0 victory against Zoya, Sparta Prague losing 4-1 to Lille. Of course, Sparta Prague were down to 10 men early on in that game. Game of the night, Villarreal 5, Sivasspor 3. What a game of football that was. Back and forth between the two sides. Spurs 3, Las Linz 0. Good performance from Spurs tonight. Hoffenheim with a 2-0 win against Red Star Belgrade. They left it late to get their second goal. Munas de Beer in the 93rd minute with the second goal of that game. And then Zagreb 0, Feyenoord 1. Feyenoord, they were down to... 0-0 draw for Feyenoord tonight. They were down to 10 men after 20 minutes. So ignore that there. I don't know why it says Feyenoord 1-0 up. I think I accidentally tweaked the wrong one there. So it's 0-0 between Feyenoord and Zagreb tonight. So a point for both of those sides. But Rangers put, we will show Celtic how it's done. Cal saying, hope Rangers win, can't wait for it. Really looking forward to that game in 2 weeks' time. But as for now, here's a quick look at some of the other content on the channel. If you don't know whether to subscribe or not, here's a look at some of the stuff that we're going to be covering over the next few weeks. So as you can see, next stream, 24th of October, we're going to be doing a watch-along for Barcelona, Real Madrid. It's El Clasico. 2:45 we're live for that. 27th of October, we're back for the Champions League Groups A to D in Match Day 2. That's on the 27th of October. And then a day later, Match Day 2 of Groups E to H. So if you can't access the games, we're going to be covering every game, every goal live. And then next week's Europa League pick of the bunch is Real Sociedad Napoli. Live next week at 7:45 for that game. And then the week afterwards, it's going to be the game between Benfica and Rangers. So do keep your eyes out for now. But for those of you that have enjoyed the stream, as always, thank you so much. There was a lot of you in here tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. As I said, it is hard sometimes when it's just 2 hours of me just talking waffle and trying to commentate on the game. But hopefully for you guys that haven't been able to access the game or you've wanted to watch reactions on the side, I hope you have enjoyed it. We'll be back, as I said, for El Clasico. You do not want to miss that on the 24th of October. It's in 2 days' time. We'll be live from 3 o'clock on Saturday for that. But as for now, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you, Blair Hill. Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Kyle. Thanks to all the regulars, as always. If you enjoyed the stream, do leave a like and subscription. And we will be back for more watch-alongs in the future. But as for now, have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And we will see you soon. Good night.